Back, everybody. You all have a great mission to undertake. You have an artifact, Spider Queen. It has a will to return to its master, I mean, servants of its master. And it also makes people pukey when they touch it. Certain people, anyway. Um, and it has been put upon you and you upon yourselves to bring this relic to the holy city of Vasselheim, to see it secured by the high clerics who reside there. It is only they who may just have the ability to seal this evil away and keep it from its most deadly servant, the Kadogeist, the inevitable end. A drow assassin, a wraith, a demon, some monstrous entity of, inevitable end. And she's coming for you. She made a bargain. Hand over the crown, wear the crown, specifically Yvaine. Yvaine, wear the crown, give me the crown, whatever these two options, and we can all be on good terms and walk away from this. If not, not to kill all of you. You guys decided to take the latter. Death or Vasselheim it is. You descended down from the mountaintop, landed deep in the Asilra wilds, and intend to play a tense game of cat and mouse. It is going to be the speed or cunning of the party, the survivalist abilities of the ranger, and of course the power of love that is growing between Yvaine and Zarbon. That will also keep them going. Sorry, you tell that I shipped that a little bit. Sorry. But yeah, dangers await in the forests. You have a couple of days before you can get to Vasselheim through the valley that you're currently in. But most importantly, you need to get there before the Winter's Crest Festival. You wouldn't want to miss the winter celebrations. That is, of course, of utmost importance to some individuals, I am sure. It's going to need to be a speedy ride if you want to get there in time for the Winter's Crest Festival, which didn't already happen.
Gotta get back in time for Christmas.
Yeah, you know what? Ugh, I don't, I don't want to like metagame or not metagame, but I don't want to like skew the time events to make things work. But I would very much like it because I know you guys want to do Winter's Crest really bad. Why don't we? I'll ask the party if you guys are okay with this. Would you guys be okay if we like, through the power of DM, whatever, set the calendar back a couple days so maybe it's possible you can get to Vasselheim in time for Baron's Eve, yeah, or Winter's Crest? Yes, you may.
Honestly, we were in Bahamut's realm. We don't actually know how time worked in that monastery. We don't know that part of the defenses were that it weren't set off in time a little bit. We have no idea of knowing, and nobody checked the calendar. And I know because I just finished watching all of the stuff. So we don't actually know what day it is right now. In fairness,
Exactly.
none of us have any idea.
Exactly. So,
We could have gone back
and really, and most importantly, you don't know how hard you hit your heads when you crash landed.
I did have an airship dropped on me, so
That's true. And we all do know that Finch is like the future Finch is the narrator of the story. So I don't know. That's not true. But so here, we're gonna say that the current date, because it's the 20th Duskar for Winter's Crest.
I mean, you could just
Oh,
not tell us until we get there because none of us, seriously, none of us are going to know. Like in story,
yeah,
no.
you're right.
I'm not trying to be shithead,
No,
but
no, I will appreciate any solution to this problem because I would like it. You guys have a little reward at the end.
Yvaine is the date keeper, and I've realized that I have absolutely no what day it is.
Yeah, you guys have no idea what it is. It would only by be the power of a miracle that you could not only get to Vasselheim alive, but get there in time for the parade. We're gonna save the jamboree. It's gonna be great. Okay, but anyway, regardless of all of that, you have all landed in the Asilra Wild, some miles away from the village that was described to you by the headmaster of Rheincleft, the monastery of the Metallic Order. You're only a couple of short miles away from that, as you saw on your skydiving descent down the side of the mountain with your various powers. You were delayed a little bit by a powerful crosswind, but all is not lost. You are in the deep, dark forests, not dark, but the deep tundra forests of Asilra. You are several days away from Vasselheim. You certainly got an aerial perspective of the land ahead, which should inform you, Zarvolg, on what needs to happen next. So, as you all stand around, having just completed your descent and return to your forms, presumably, what is next for the Aurora Concordant? How you intend to move forth? And most importantly, who holds the crown? Who has the cloudy, the solid cloud chest? We'll call it.
I think Finch took it.
I think Finch has it.
Finch
Yeah.
has it. Okay. Okay. Cool. Finch, you feel a little queasy.
Ew, it's touching me.
Ew. Okay. Mom.
The reliquary's touching me.
Zaddy Bahamut.
Tell it to stop. Not touching can't get mad.
Yeah. Okay. I kind of wish Beverly was like a little bit of a Looney Tune character. It's really scary, guys. What are we gonna do now? No, she's not like that. She looks very brave in that. She's ready to help out. But what do you guys do? What's next? What's happening? What's going on?
All right, are we ready to move?
I think so, yes. Lead on,
Where
Wickoff.
do we go?
Right before we get ready to go, Yvaine will cast Pass Without a Trace.
For the next hour, you guys are going to be extra stealthy, which is a point. How do you intend to travel? There are 3 travel speeds you can take. There's fast and furious, which will give you a -5 to your passive perception moving forward, and you certainly cannot travel stealthily that way. There is a normal pace, which will not affect your passive perception, and similarly, you cannot travel stealthily unless Zarvolg, you were by yourself with your hound, but your party is not nearly as cool as you, so it's a little hard. Or would you like to travel at a slow pace, which would indeed allow you to travel stealthily for a long period of time? But indeed, you would travel quite slow.
Yeah, I'll explain that to the party and ask what they would like to do. We're probably not going to be able to go full speed for the entire time, so I would suggest normal pace. I can scout ahead a little bit. These are probably very dangerous woods, and I doubt that the inevitable end is the only danger we might find out here.
Right, and we'll be planning on covering our tracks.
I've got that taken care of.
So the trace will indeed cover your tracks. So even if somebody saw your landing zone, they will not know. I mean, there's some guessing as to which direction you can go, but they will not know exactly or be able to find your tracks for your next hour of travel, which gives you
What time
a
is
great lay of land. It's early. I believe you guys woke up pretty much at the brink of dawn and then descended over 10 minutes. So the sun's kind of coming out today. You got a full day ahead of you.
Yeah, we
One
had
of
a
the
full
things-
hour to come down, so we've traveled a full hour since we could go an hour at 80 feet.
One of the things that I would suggest is that we vary the pace a little bit so we're not easily predicted. We can go fast for a while it's light out, then slow down to normal pace, go a little bit more quietly and stealthily, carefully, speed up again, slow down again. In the dark, we'll want to go a little bit slower, but during daylight hours, we could probably throw some fast-paced hours in there.
Sounds
Just as a
reasonable.
reminder, excellent. So just as a reminder about some of your previous plans, I believe there was some determination that flight would not be the best course of action because it will be quite perceivable. Whereas as you currently stand, you find yourself here in a boreal forest where there are tall trees to cover you both from the air and from the ground.
All right, so do we want to start out fast for a little while now and then we'll slow it down?
Just because this is where we landed, I would suggest going careful for the next hour and then speeding up.
Fair enough.
But I will leave that to the group vote, of course.
Yeah, I would think obfuscate our trail from the get-go, and then once we're no longer under cover of the I can hide in the middle of your field of vision, we then ramp it up and try to extend any lead that we've got by picking up the pace.
All right, do we want to go for 1 hour or 2 hours?
Let's just go one at the moment, and we'll save if we'll save the other as an option.
All right, I would
Comrades,
suggest
gather round.
Yeah, you have a decent radius, but yes, everyone will have to get within 15, I believe.
all right.
And yes, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I would suggest Fen and I can range out in front. We'll do kind of a braided pattern back and forth to cover, what's coming up essentially in a cone while not leaving the middle wide open. Yvaine knows how to follow the two of us. So if the group stays with her, we should be good.
Your call, your big expertise.
So I will put forth Zarvolg if you wish to scout ahead by some dramatic measure, like if you were like at a site of the party, if you're like several hundred feet ahead, sort of like heavily braiding, because you can, when it's just you and Fen, travel stealthily at normal pace. So you would more than be able to, do a sort of zigzag in front of a straight moving party and keep up easily.
That's my intention, yeah.
Yeah. With that said, the rest of the party won't benefit from a natural explorer. So that might not be too much of an issue. I just wanted to give you the heads up.
Fair enough.
It would just mean that your party couldn't overcome difficult terrain, but during your scouting, you could like find those patches of difficult terrain and return to the party if you wish.
And return back, yeah. I think that's probably what I'll do. Thank you.
And then the group can't become lost except by magical means. But then they could just follow your tracks, I suppose.
Well, I can also always pick out north is that way.
Yeah, and you have exactly. I don't think you're going to have difficult means in keeping up with Zarvolg's path by any measure. And then the rest of it is just benefits that you gather. So those would be the only two things your party wouldn't get if you want to do this.
Yep. That's fine. I think we'll probably do that. I'll range out a little ways ahead in front of the party and use my individual speed to zigzag in front of the party and stay ahead. And then when we come upon landscape that it looks like it's going to be difficult terrain, I'll fall back to kind of guide everyone through it a little bit more quickly.
Understood. So yeah, you and Fen are well ahead of the party by like several hundred feet. Just kind of keeping an initial look out. You got your primeval awareness. If you need to find them, you can just ping them out and come after them. So yeah, you're way ahead. Zarvolg and Fen sort of vanish into the forest together. It is a very cloudy day. It is very cold. It's a very chilly atmosphere. very like bone cold. In fact, Siora is much colder than Tal'dorei, very far north, and you are in the depths of Dunskar, or Duskar. So it is cold and it is snowy. Um, Worth pointing out that I. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, is there much open land, or is it mostly at least sparsely tree covered or densely tree covered?
Despite the board that I put before you, I mostly picked it because it has like a combination of green and white. It is like a boreal forest. Like it is very intensely forested. It would be very easy to get lost here if you didn't have all of your various tools and survival methods at your disposal. So the common man could find themselves quite lost in these forests.
All right, so snowy or cloudy and snowy, I think,
Cloud and snowy, yeah.
and densely forested. So I guess we're talking dim light, probably.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say dim light. It is the, I'm sure you could, let me think. I will say for this first hour, because the sun does rise in the east and you are in like a deep valley, I'll give you the dim light for the first hour, but after that, then it's going to become bright light. It's dim, but it's still bright light.
Sure, daylight. Yep.
Yeah, so it is very cold. There is, let's see what the wind's like down here today. Not a lot of wind. The forest is getting a lot of cover from the wind. It is indeed like a cloudy day. There's not a lot of precipitation, at least none that you can detect underneath trees. It's a very still day, which sort of, it's not very windy. There isn't a lot of like precipitation. It's very almost spookily still in these forests. There are beasts that wander here and there, but you can't help but wonder what else might be lurking. So let me to start us off. I'm gonna say, let's get that survival check from you, Yvaine, and I will give you advantage because of Yassi's keen mind, helping you guys stay on a directional path. Zarvolg, I'll have you roll a survival as well.
Yep.
You can't get lost, but if you're going in a direction, you can't get lost on the path to where you mean to go. And if where you mean to go is the wrong way, that's unfortunate.
Got a 27 to follow. I'm sorry, I got a 27 to follow Zarvolg.
Yeah, you will have no problem keeping up with Zarvolg's path. What'd you get, Zarvolg?
I got a 19.
19, and you're gonna have little issue making your way south. You can very much find your sort of openings in the trees and make sure that you have those mountains on the right side of you, and start heading deep. Okay, so that's good. Now I would like a stealth check from the group for this first hour. Zarvolg and Fen will not receive the +10 because you guys are scouting ahead. Everyone else will.
All right. Is it a stealth check?
Stealth check. Stealth check from everybody. You'll have a +10 to this stealth check, everybody, except for Zarvolg and Fen. I'll roll one for Beverly. Oh, at disadvantage because she's got that big armor. And she did pretty good anyway.
Okay, so the +10, that's a 23.
Pick 23, Glenn. We'll get Zarvolg you separately because you're technically a separate group. Yvaine?
Yep.
27.
Very nice. How'd you do, Nix?
Thank God for the 10 plus. I got 19.
19, fantastic. Yossi?
24.
Very good, very good. And Finch and
21.
21, very, very good. All right, you all average out at a hot 23. That is not a bad average at all. It would take only the keenest of individuals to be able to follow your path at this point. Your adversary is keen, but we will see just how keen. And what did you and Fen get there, Zarvolg?
I got a 26. He got a 21.
Whew.
We are happy to be in the woods.
Yeah, you're back out, and Zarvolg, maybe for you, I imagine on your pre-adventuring, your pre-Aurora Concordant days, when you were sort of lone wolfing it with your hound, or even without your hound, maybe there has been times here and there where you have been cat and mouse hunted here and there. Uh, when you were like just some guy who was like kind of learning his way around the wilds and found himself hunted by a pack of wolves or maybe whatever adversary, a cougar or something out in the wild. And this is the ultimate game of hide and seek. This is the ultimate sort of. This is like your shindig. This is a situation that really only you will be able to ensure the party's good fortune with. How do you think Zarval is feeling? What is Zarval thinking about?
I think Zarval is kind of in his glory right now. They spent a long time in between places, in urban environments, and he's enjoyed some of those luxuries, but like this is kind of a return home for him, even though this isn't his home landscape. It's just being out among the trees and the shadows and nature, being able to read signs better and understanding better what different um, indicators mean, I think is probably like very, at the same time, very comforting and very empowering to him. I think that, he feels fully himself, and that in a way that he doesn't normally get in the streets of the cities we've been visiting recently.
Incredible. Makes total sense. Every now and then, maybe you catch a glimpse of your party traveling through the wilds behind you, and you know that they're keeping up. A little. Oh, don't do this to me. Okay. I was trying to make a cool action shot.
Yeah, I like it.
Trying to make a cool action shot. Yeah, you catch them in the wilds, traveling here and there, and you leading the way, and you know that they're right and well. And you have, you've placed a path. You are the leader of the pack, and you are the scout of the pack, and all of these things in your element. Exactly. So, I got questions for you, Zarval. You are our master pathfinder here. It is important that we know which way we're traveling. So, you have some options. Clearly, you must head. Well, you can see the map on roll 20, if that helps. And you know that you are essentially in a valley. And at the southeastern edge of that valley is Vasselheim. There is a river to be crossed. You probably saw a bridge way, way, way near down towards where the holy city is. And you've got some options. Would you lead the party to travel closer to the road, closer to the foot of the mountain, or straight on deep through the forest?
I think he would probably choose definitely not the bridge, not the path most traveled, because they are supposedly being pursued, and that seems the most obvious. He doesn't really know what means the inevitable end has for tracking them. It might not make a difference one way or the other, but he knows that like being on a road and crossing a bridge is probably the most obvious, regardless of who's trying to follow them. So it wouldn't be that. It's also not going to be. It would be the most inobvious path that isn't so perilous that it wouldn't be. Who was it? Was it Bilbo on this, like on the side of the mountain where they were like inching across the right? It wouldn't be that. Like we're not going to do that with the party.
Of course not.
But as much through um, terrain that people would normally try to avoid as possible, while on as much of a straight line as possible.
Got it. So you wanna, yeah, like hug the base of the mountain towards
Yeah,
the
I think
forest
so.
edge. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
of the
And
options you gave me, that sounded like the most reasonable.
okay, absolutely. And yeah, and if you had some alternative fancy plan in your ranger mind that is beyond mine, you're more than welcome, of course, to do that. Um, but yes, and you as a ranger would know that the common man doesn't tread into the forest. In our modern day, we've got cell phones and paths and whatever, whatever. Back then, like you get lost in the forest, you're done. That's that.
Yeah.
That's game
No,
over.
we're definitely using that aspect of the forest, you know, again in Zarvog's mind to their advantage in that he's very confident that they're not going to get lost. And so
Yeah,
if there's the possibility that someone else would fear getting lost in here, that's where he wants to go.
absolutely. Um, and I think that's worth putting out there to you arrange your mind as you find yourself like playing this game of cat and mouse right now. You're trying to think of the cat and you're trying to think of her. And there's really two possibilities for this tactic. There's one that she feels confident entering the forest, whether by survivalist means or magical means to track all of you, or she doesn't have those capabilities, in which case she may not dare tread the deep wilds and possibly get lost and possibly lose all of it. So there is an initial immediate gambit that might tell you something about her capabilities. If she finds you in here, there's a good chance she is some kind of either magical or innately survivalist individual, some ability to track. We will have to see if that rings true if you find her in these details.
I would say that up to this point, Zarvog's assumption is that she's following, like she has some ability to follow the circlet itself, that it's putting out some sort of beacon to her. But he doesn't know how far that extends, how accurate it is, or whatever. So if she has to make any guesses about where they might go, he's trying to like consider the opposite of what those logical guesses might be.
Okay, got it. Okay, understood. And yes, indeed, your explanations do help me understand your tactics and the brilliance behind them. So please do if you ever feel like doing so. But yes, you hug the base of the treacherous mountain while keeping close to the boreal forest and the trees there. Maybe in a way that isn't too what a common man might do, where he keeps an eye, like it's like okay, I can see them like a couple hundred feet that way. I can see the mountain, so I know the mountain's there, so I'm safe. Maybe you keep the party several hundred feet away from the mountain, so you can't see the mountain itself, but you, being the superior hunter, like can keep track of that in means the common man could not. And through
I
the
think
forest, you go
too,
closer to the mountain. Yeah,
he'd probably be trying to look for subtle like nape of the earth type things, like if there's a densely wooded area in front of them, but there's somewhat of a rolling hill on one side and a ridge on the other, like he's going to try to keep to the valley in between, um because the terrain looks formidable, but there may be an easier path through the middle of that if you're not, if you're confident enough to take it, that kind of thing.
got it. So you want to take the paths that really only you would be capable of passing with ease.
Right, that are subtle enough that you would have to know what you're looking for to be able to discern them. I guess that's what he's looking for, right?
Yeah, understood. You want to use your essentially use your ranger, like ignore difficult terrain to your advantage, I imagine.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Okay, got you. So there is a one last fun thing I'll give you, Zarvolg. I'm trying to give you your ranger senses here in this moment. What is unique about the landscape is that you do find that there's a sizable amount of mud, and that mud is probably going to freeze over sooner or later. But from what was described by the headmaster, he's basically had been keeping like a storm going, like a torrential rain going, which is an unnatural precipitation for this climate. It should be snowing or at the very least hailing. But the water itself has probably made the terrain a little muddier, a little stickier. You could indeed go back to the party and find these like muddier, close to the mountain paths that would be very difficult to travel if you were so inclined to, as it is a very unique terrain situation that has developed. Probably not be present for long.
I would think that I don't know that he would necessarily actively seek those out, but I think he also wouldn't shy away from them or avoid them. Like I think he would use them to his advantage as they came up along the path that he kind of has in mind. I don't know that he would veer off his otherwise chosen course to find these areas, but he would also try and drive the party through those areas versus going around them or whatever.
Okay, excellent. Understood. Very well understood. All right. And with all of that terrain-based information, Zarvalk honed in on the terrain. Let's see what Isira has in store for all of you. That first hour goes by without much issue. Zarvalk, did you mean to meet up with the party at the end of the hour or continue onward? I believe there's some discussion about that.
I think it would be more. I think it would be more based on the way that the landscape itself reveals itself. So when he knows they're coming up on these difficult terrains like the mud or whatever, he'd probably fall back to speed them through the mud, right?
Yeah.
And then if something like that doesn't come up very often, probably from time to time he falls back and checks in, and maybe we pick up the pace for a little while. But he's definitely, the intention is to at random intervals, not at regular intervals, kind of vary the pace so that it's difficult to determine just based on how they're traveling what point they're going to arrive at what time.
Okay. Understood. That's fine. Stop it. Okay, so we're going to say at around the 47, 48-minute mark after your beginning travel, things are going well, at which point you kind of like come through the wood and Zarvalk would be there waiting for you. And this wouldn't be to redirect Zarvalk, but this might be a pace change. You haven't found anything unique about the terrain at this time. There also is the matter that the Pass Without a Trace is coming to an end. Do you wish to continue that, or do you want to will you recast at the end of the hour, you mean? You did.
Do you want to do another hour of being careful as far as magical help goes?
It's a quick point that I'll put in there. Sorry, not to interrupt. Very quick point to put in there. It has covered your party's tracks exceptionally. Hasn't covered Zarvalk's, because he's been a couple hundred feet ahead. So that's part of how you've been able to track him, is every now and then you come upon the booted footprint and paw footprints of your ranger in varying intervals as he crisscrosses across your path.
So maybe we should stay together for an hour.
Yeah. All right. You want to stay together for an hour, move a little bit faster?
I'll cast it again.
Okay, cast it again. Okay, so you're gonna exit stealth and travel at normal pace, your party?
Yeah. Okay. But with Pass Without Trace, right? But exit stealth. And Zarvalk would he's excited. He's having a good time. So he'd have a little bit of a smirk on his face for sure. And maybe a little bit of a glimmer in his eye. But he would definitely look at Glint and be like, "How we doing?"
Making a decent time. Holding up all right for the moment.
You keeping up? Got your wind?
For now, yes. I'm toddling along as well as anyone. I'll let you know if I start falling behind.
All right, we're gonna go a little bit faster. Everybody ready?
Ready, Freddy?
Absolutely.
All right. And so Zar would stay back with the party, give them the benefit of his ability to travel a little bit more quickly, regardless of the terrain. We will not travel in stealth, but we will have Pass Without Trace.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and it is worth pointing out there that stealth doesn't help. It's very helpful. It's of course incredibly helpful, but yeah, for when individuals may be close, that is where it's helpful. So yes, in playing the long game of avoidance, yeah. So at this point, you guys continue to travel. For the next technically like hour and 15 minutes ish because you're past without a trace. You'll revamp it at the end of the actual hour. You guys will hit
Do
a
I have some
normal
idea?
pace. Yeah,
Sorry, do I have some idea how far outside of Vasselheim we're supposed to be?
right now. After traveling for an hour, interesting question. Make me a nature check.
Okay.
Sort of.
We're something like a week away from Vasselheim.
Yeah, this would be a cartographer thing for sure too.
That's 17.
17. You remember the terrain pretty well. You guys are quite a few days from Vasselheim.
Okay.
You guys have only traveled an hour, so and you traveled at a slow pace, which means your party moved 2 miles over the last hour. And then when you hit a normal pace, you moved up to 3 miles an hour. So you guys should be somewhere around, yeah, about 5 or 6 miles at the end of your first 2 hours of travel.
All right. And as far as we know, there's no, or at least we're not aware of any specific settlements between here and there.
You saw, well, you've left it behind you now. If you were to have made a decision to try and visit or not, that would have probably been best done. There's still time. Like you could still turn back if you wished. You wouldn't be losing too much time. But you did see some kind of village on the road, and I believe you were debating going there to try and get horses,
Yeah.
way up at the top of the mountain. So there is like you haven't gone so far that it would be like a dramatic, uh, loss for what you've already
Yeah.
done. But yes, there is a village, a couple, maybe like a day's travel to the east, northeast.
All right. Yeah. No, I don't have any reason for that unless somebody else does. I just there's no like milestone settlement that we're heading toward that we're aware of, right?
Just Vasselheim. That
Just
that
Vasselheim
would be,
itself. Yep.
yeah. But between there and where you are, there was that one village and then a road.
All right.
As a reminder, there is a bridge closer to Vasselheim that crosses this like lake, this lake river. Um, uh, Obviously a nameless one because you don't know that. But there is like this long river that cuts through the valley that you will have to cross at some point, whether by bridge or other means.
All right. I think probably as we finish the end of this leg, when we get there, I'll pop a primeval awareness just to see if I can pick out any humanoids within a 5 mile radius. But for now, we're gonna keep moving.
Yeah, let me check on that real quick. Something in the way. Huh. Hmm. Interesting. You detect 4 humanoids. To the west. 2 miles to the west.
And we're heading southwest, right? Generally.
You are heading, yeah, generally, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
The
I guess
southeast,
I'll put.
sorry. You're traveling to the southeast.
Yeah. Oh, southeast. Okay. Yeah. No, we're gonna keep traveling southeast then. We will avoid those 4 individuals.
Okay. And yeah, so with the pass without a trace, they'd have to be some either very magical or very skilled individuals to find you at this point. And you are certainly far enough off that stealth will not be an issue. They won't be able to detect you by just visual means. Okay, you keep your movement going. Um, hmm. At the end of that 2 hours, like right towards the end where Yvaine might wish to start changing up or potentially considering revamping the Pass Without a Trace, I want to quickly swing over to our non-survivalists. I want to see what their thoughts and feelings or things they are doing are. Glint, to preface you, Glint, obviously this is a trial. With your cardiac injury, exhaustion takes its toll. You are,
Yeah.
it doesn't affect your speed, but it's certainly like the breath of Glint is easily heard through everything. At this normal pace, he's very much like a little bit like that old man on a stick, kind of following along as he's a little exhausted, hard to focus. You might find yourself little bouts of lightheadedness here and there. Actually, quite often, in fact, maybe the blood not getting to your brain quite as quickly as you might like. But with that and everybody else moving strong, what is I'll go around a little bit. So, Glenn, what are you doing, feeling, thinking?
I mean, a lot of it is sort of an endurance trial for Glenn at the moment, where a lot of his focus is just trying to keep up. Um, Intermittently, he will, I think, summon his familiar, which is still currently a bat. And while he's never going to have Philoctetes fly above the canopy, he will occasionally try and like flit his senses over into his familiars to make use of the echolocation and just kind of do a brief sweep of the surroundings.
Okay. Yep. Every now and then you catch Glint sort of letting the like. For some reason, I have this mental image of you like opening your arm and your bat's just like hanging off of your robes, and you're like, "Go, Archimedes, go!" And it'll sort of like fly into the trees and kind of disappear into the brush as a member of one of the woodland creatures here. A nocturnal creature usually, but still. And yeah, goes around as a little survey, maybe tells you about some delicious bugs it might have ate. Actually, no, it's very cold out here. Just like little, maybe more like grubs and such, but nothing of great concern.
Okay.
Fantastic. What about Nix? What about you? What are you thinking, feeling? What are you doing as you travel here in the woods in this game of cat and mouse?
I think Nyx is handling the terrain pretty well. I think they're fairly comfortable in kind of like a woody area since they're fairly acrobatic and athletic. So I think they're having a fine time with that. I think they're a little paranoid. I think they're a little nervous, a little concerned about Juriel just popping up out of nowhere. Um, but other than that, I think they're doing their best to stay positive and kind of enjoy the outdoors.
Fantastic. Just the looming, despite the looming, six-armed
Inevitable
wraith
end.
assassin, inevitable end tracking, maybe gonna kill you. It's a really nice time, the wind, the trees, the fresh air. So with that said, Nick, so with this little paranoia hanging over you, and that little fear hanging there, oh, that's why I can't. Right. You are an Eladrin. And what you are is very connected to how you feel. Summer is very passionate. Spring is very vibrant. Fall is a little gloomy. Winter is sorrowful. Which of those do you think you would identify most with at this time? Which season? Which emotion?
Probably a little more fall.
A little more fall. Fair enough. Hopeful, but maybe a tiny bit dour, perhaps. And we will. And what are you now, Nix? You're spring right now.
I think Nyx is fall right now.
Okay, excellent.
Where can I find it?
It would be in your racial features and traits. Yeah, you are autumn. Yeah. So yeah, you travel around. You're very much feeling the nature of what you are right now and have been for some time as you travel through the wilds here. Fantastic. What about let's go over to Ember. Ember, what are you doing? What do you think, thoughts, feelings?
Well, as we are marching along, Ember is periodically and kind of in cyclic cycle. He's got one or two kind of like little steel cup dealios, part of the cooking kit, and he'll pull out the alchemy jug, pour out some wine, pour out some honey, little produce flame sitting in the hand, some pinch of spice from the spice sack, and we'll get something hot to everybody. When Zarval comes back, there's something just to bolster spirits and to to make something challenging maybe a little easier to take.
Very nice, very nice. Keeping spirits high, the power of cooking. Very cool. Everyone, like, I imagine that maybe for you a little, Nix, where like maybe you get a little in your head and you're like, oh, this is really nice. Like, oh, she was like, that hot drow lady, she was like, she'd be here in a moment. If you really think about it, she'd be in the trees. And then suddenly this like cup of like piping hot, like delicious smelling wine comes your way from Ember and just like warms you up, tastes good, takes your mind off of things. Take inspiration, Ember. I love that. That's really wonderful. Incredible. Fantastic. Love that. Why don't we have like, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say Zorva will absolutely love that too, because despite how much he likes to show off as the woodsy ranger, he loves comfortable, tasty things.
Yeah,
so
the creature
he's absolutely going to enjoy a little bit of warm cider.
If anyone's seen the new Beetlejuice, where like Willem Dafoe is like in every scene handed a coffee by his assistant, I kind of imagine that's like Zarvalg a little. He's like, right, I've been out in the wilds, saw this. Yeah, incredible, amazing. Last but not least, Finch. Well, everyone is trying to keep their minds off of things and having very much a mental battle. Perhaps you yourself are having the greatest one here. You hold this strangely solid cloud case, and you can't see, but you can feel the poison of the thing, sort of there and about, and particularly to you, one who is so staunchly good, so reverently held to the holy, and so in your very being, in your very blood and soul, connected to the celestial realm. I imagine you are intensely sensitive to its influence, despite it being sealed in a case. With this sort of nauseous, poisonous sensation, what's going on with Finch? What are you doing? What are you feeling?
I think to take their mind off of that yucky, disgusting feeling, I think they're probably like on the outside looking like fine and contented, kind of like enjoying the landscape, observing their compatriots. I think on the inside, they are trying to process like all of the knowledge they've gained in the undisclosed period of time that we were in the monastery. I think, they are thinking about all the things they learned and talked with the headmaster, taking on the responsibility of that, sacred place, what that means. Because I think it's one thing to say yes, but then to be put in power of what happens with it. I don't think that that's fully like hit them yet. As well as like contemplating the information that they read with the that sacred ancient oath.
Okay. And there's the thing. An Aasimar is of a divine soul and is connected to the outer plane, the holy outer planes, the good outer planes, which might make you sort of maybe emotionally, maybe spiritually a little more susceptible, sensitive to these dark things you bear. But it is not only resistance to radiance that you have resistance to necrotic as well. Despite these sensitivities you may have, you are staunchly prepared to face the evils of the lower plane as well. It's in your very blood and your very soul. And I think it would be apparent to all the suffering of Finch, but what would be perhaps more apparent to that is Finch's resilience in the face of that. I think everyone here has at some point experienced the discomfort, the sickening feeling of the circle. And you all know Finch is, the most probably morally staunch of all of you, and yet bears the burden with not without pain, but with great resilience. And there is something admirable in that.
Yeah, I think they feel like a sense of duty to make sure that this mission is carried out. And I think they would reflect, somewhat on the conversations they had with Glint, however long ago that was, when it comes to like the susceptibility of the party that we travel with, right? There were individuals who talked about possibly wearing the crown. Where is that motivation coming from? What could that do? So I think they would be running through like a lot of different scenarios, but ultimately like driving them forward is that like sense of duty to make sure that this mission is completed.
Absolutely. Beverly looks at you and says, "Perhaps I could help carry the load, carry the load, carry the load." No, that doesn't happen. But no, in fact, you might see your squire very dutifully keeping close to Glint and providing a hand when he requires it. It seems that maybe in your travels together, Glint, the squire of Finch, has sort of taken unto themselves the role of your caretaker in the wilds.
Clint appreciates it. He's wearing those curly toed wizard shoes at the moment, so
Yeah.
every time he steps forward on his little dwarf legs, he's kicking up more mud. So he's just slowly getting like more and more detritus attached to his feet as they are going through this trek.
Yeah.
Yeah, not having the best of times.
Fair enough. Yes, Yvaine.
As Yvaine,
Oh, God.
as Yvaine watches Glint struggle, at some point she's going to shift and turn into a direwolf and just kind of nose underneath him and put him on her back, because she can stay in this form for 4 hours at a time, and she's probably better at this than he is.
Probably.
Okay.
And we'll be very embarrassed, like, if you're certain, and get like a baby kittened onto the back of this giant dog.
The dwarven pride within you perhaps diminishes a little.
A little bit.
Yes, indeed. Okay. Around that 2-hour mark, as you are all making your way through the woods, and all of you dealing with your various mental challenges and physical challenges, you're going to come upon a tree, but not just any tree. This tall aspen, again, snow-capped tree has something strange about it that immediately catches all of your attention. It has a face carved into the trunk. It is an old, wizened face.
I'm not the only one seeing that.
Well, there's something that you don't see every day.
No, it's got a face.
Oh.
Yvaine will go sniff at it.
Yeah. Sniff at it. There's no exceptionally different scent than the tree itself.
This smells like a tree with a face. All right.
You hear Yvaine go.
Does Clint have any familiarity with like what culture group might carve such things like this?
Sure. Make me a religion check.
Sure. I will use a charge my ring to roll at normal instead of disadvantage. And religion. It's a 25.
25. You are going, you get a little in your brain about things. You're in the You're in the Vespin timberlands, and you are what you know about the religions of Isilra, that they're very connected to the prime deities. Religion's very fluid here, but it is also an ancient and largely undiscovered land that is sort of, ever since the calamity, like it has the first city, the holy city of Vasselheim, that worships all of the gods, including the Wild Mother. The Wild Mother being the goddess of nature. This could be something about that, but it is a male face, and it is a sort of older male face, which wouldn't really fit with what the Wild Mother is.
Is the
But
carving? Oh, go ahead.
it is worth noting that you do know that another very important known culture is the Ashari. In the next valley over, in a place called Cinder Grove, the Ashari dwell there, and they've been known to worship the Wild Mother loosely, but maybe other things as well. Isura is a very ancient place. This could be something well forgotten.
Oh, is the carving near the base of the tree or higher up?
At about face level.
Okay,
Not
so
your
it's
face level, of course. Maybe Zarvolg's face level.
so it's not a new carving, but it's probably relatively recent because otherwise it would gradually grow up as the tree. Okay. Do you think this might be an Ashari carving? Glint will ask, briefly forgetting that Yvaine is currently a wolf.
Yeah, but I can understand, so I'll like nod my head and then like give it like a little ooh.
Husky noises.
Husky noises. And she might actually look at Zarvol to translate.
It's like she's still speaking with us.
Yeah, Zarvolg, you look at Yvaine and you require no use of primeval awareness. You're like, she's saying yeah. What I mean? It's like,
Yeah, that was a really unnecessarily long way to agree.
Fascinating. I mean, it almost seems like it might be tied to the Wild Mother, but this is obviously no mother's face. Huh.
It is clearly carved though, and not just formed from the tree, right? It's been carved out of the tree.
are you proficient with woodcarver's tools?
Oh, I'm not.
Make me a nature check.
Yeah, okay, that sounds fair.
So I will put forth. I'm trying to adapt some small. There's some small changes in the 2024 rulebook, or clarifying rules anyway. How they do tools and skills there is that like everything is a skill check now, and if you happen to have a tool that might proficiency with a tool that might be related to the check, then you are granted advantage. So I'll leave that to you guys, and I'm going to try and start incorporating that in all the tables. But I will ask for skill checks, and if you think you have a tool proficiency that might be relevant to the check, let me know, and if so, I'll provide advantage.
Awesome.
All right. Well, on this character, it's easy because Zarvog doesn't have any good tool proficiency. So I did roll a 19 nature check, though. So can I at least tell whether this looks natural?
If it looks natural, it does not look natural. You see definitely the sort of like long lines of etching from a knife. This was carved.
All right. Well, the good news is that somebody else sentient has at least at some point passed through here. Now, I know that doesn't always seem like a lot. It could be, random, but in a place as big as this, as desolate as this, it's also not a bad sign.
So it could be some sort of border marker from the rangers out in Cinder Grove. It could be maybe something older regarding some local religions. I've never. Well, the last time I was on this continent, in this stretch of land, I didn't have much chance to learn the local faiths very much. How fascinating, though. I would love to.
I will provide. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I would love to stay a while and take a rubbing of it, but unfortunately, I suppose time is something of the essence.
Can Yvaine make a religion check, understanding that she couldn't actually communicate? But even though she's a wolf, she keeps her brain.
Yeah,
She
of course, of
keeps her
course.
wisdom check.
Yeah, go ahead and make me a religion check to see if you can
And she is proficient in
conjure up
religion, so.
this. Yeah, yeah, go ahead. But let me pop to Nyx real quick. Nyx, you had something you wanted to do? Oh, no. Of course we freeze, right? Oh, man.
They're supposed to be autumn, not winter.
Yeah. Okay, we'll stick with you for a second, Yvaine, as Nyx is frozen on us. What'd you roll?
I rolled a 15.
15?
Yeah.
You're not sure. It's an old wizened face, an old man's wizened face, like it's got the beard and everything. There are, you think about religion, much like Glint, there are deities that are portrayed as like old bearded individuals, like the Storm Lord, for example, but he's got an eye patch, and this doesn't have an eye patch. And uh, people don't really carve him into trees. The only people who are really like the only prime deity that's a real tree person is the Wild Mother. It's not sure.
Fair enough. All right. I'll keep that in mind.
Nyx, what did you want to do or think or feel?
Nyx was wanting to do like an Arcana check.
Yes, you may go ahead and make me either a history or an Arcana check. You may do so at advantage.
$23.
23. You know exactly what this is. Your friends are all looking at it going, oh, yes, perhaps the Cinder Grove Rangers, the Vasselheim, Wild Mother, and all of their various chantings and whatnot. But you happen to know exactly who this is. This is an entity of the Feywild. You know this to be the face of an Archfey. I'm drawing a blank into his identity, but you do know this to be an Archfey. I'm going to say that this is one known as the Frost Lord, who is a member of the Winter Court. Who's supposed to be a very diabolical sort of scoundrel-like individual. You think that maybe the fairies might have carved this, either in reverence to him or to make fun of him. Some Fey entity might have done so.
Excellent. So Nyx is going to explain that to the group. So it's not a very good guy, so maybe we should be a little careful around here, I would think.
Well, good to know. I appreciate your insight. I was going down an academic rabbit hole. So you think there might be Fae here that might be tricksters? Stealing our children?
Possibly. Luckily for us, we don't have any of that besides Beverly, but Beverly's one of us, so I think she'll be fine.
That's good.
Well, in that case, if they don't want us here, we should probably be moving along.
I agree.
Good idea.
Can I make any particular connection to the direction that the face is facing, right? The trunk of a tree is relatively 360 degrees. Someone chose to put it on a particular side of that tree for some reason. Can I figure out why?
It's facing generally north. I'll say from Nyx's description of this entity and why it might have been carved. I imagine Nyx might have tossed in there somewhere like, also Fae like to fuck with people, so maybe this was just to kind of like scare some person who got lost in the woods, or maybe make a group of individuals stand for a little too long and talk about it.
Right.
But it is facing generally in the northern direction.
All right. All right. Shall we continue?
Indeed.
All right. And we will keep moving on.
Right. You guys have concluded the mystery of the face carving in the tree. You may continue your journey.
Until we run into whatever that is.
For all you know, maybe the Kato Geist is out here and may have at least 2 talents. Maybe he's not only a deadly assassin, but an avid woodcarver.
She's so fast,
she's got enough arms for it.
She's got 6 arms. She just.
She's so fast she got bored and started Edward Scissorhandsing the trees.
And she looks so good doing it. She looks so good doing it.
I hope that she retires. She takes up the chainsaw ice sculpture.
Right? Exactly. Perfect.
Oh man, if she hasn't retired now, I don't know when she. Oh, maybe she needs to retire. Maybe now someone needs to retire her. But that is that's 2 hours of your journey, folks. Time to continue your travel. Pass without a trace will end. Yvaine, do you intend to remain a wolf? Recast?
I intend to remain a wolf for this particular hour. I have a question. If Glint is on my back and I'm the one doing the walking, then does he still have to roll? Or does he get advantage for not being walking about, trouncing, being dwarfish in the snow?
He definitely still has to roll to ensure there's no I don't know, bumping heads. It's a fair point, but not bump heads into trees or say this wrong thing at the wrong time or sneeze or whatever it might do. Got it. So into this next hour, are we returning to stealth? Okay. So, all right, as you have spent the last hour just kind of not hustling, but moving with a little bit more speed. Go ahead and let's get some stealth checks going. Zarbo, are you returning to your scouting regiment, or are you staying with the group?
I am. No, I'm going to scout ahead again.
Okay. Everybody go ahead and give me a round of stealth checks. These are just stealth checks, no pass without a trace. And yes, Yvaine, of course, you will be doing so
as in that 24-23.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
So I'm rolling as a dire wolf.
Nick's only got an 8.
I got a 9.
Oh no. Okay. 8, 9. What was your nat 20? What was your total? Yvaine?
23. 23.
23, thank you. Ember?
13.
13, fantastic. How about you, Nix?
8.
8. Paladin?
16.
Oh, put to shame by the paladin in heavy armor.
Clank, clank, clank.
I have my boots. of elven kind.
Oh, that's right. You do have your boots.
I say still. And of course, we do have Beverly, who's going to come into a hot 6 because she is very clanky. So your exceptional 23 average is reduced to an 11. As you guys are making your way through the woods, a little loud. Zarvolg, you're like a couple hundred feet ahead, and you're like, as you hear the, oh, sorry.
I look back to see if it's Finch making all the noise, and it's not, which makes it a little bit worse.
What did you and Fen get?
I got a 19 and he got an 18, both modified.
Very nice, very nice. And the hot 11. Okay. Travel for a while longer. Actually, pretty quickly, Zarvolg. After about 15 minutes of continuing your travel, party moving slow, you moving normal. What's your passive perception?
Mine?
Yeah.
17.
You begin to notice, little by little, barely perceivable, but eventually it happens, and you perhaps don't know how long it's been happening before, or if this is the first one you've encountered. But you begin to notice, well, first thing you notice is, of course, a very small, little spider web in the branch of a tree. Just like, just like a little guy, like that big, not too large.
Yeah.
And you kind of like, how then you're like, oh, okay.
It's a little
All
cold out here
right.
for spiders.
Yeah, and that comes to your mind very quickly. Where you're like, it's a little cold out here for spiders, and you don't see the spider in the web, which tells it's probably maybe dead. But then you start to notice, like, as you're walking, you kind of like look down at your arm, and you maybe catch like a little single strand, and you kind of like dust that away, and you wonder what's going on. Eventually, you come to a tree where there's like a single, very thin, waving in the wind a little bit, very thinly, sort of now down towards knee level between two fairly close trees. Maybe you kind of get a hand on Fenn's armor before he like
Yeah.
walks through it. And you begin to notice just like it's not intense. You're not entering into any kind of like spider brood or great webbed area or anything like that. But you just like catch like little spider webs here and there, and then these like singular, barely perceivable strands that are sort of hit from tree to tree. As you wander, some of them may not even be from tree to tree. Some of them maybe have been taken by the wind, the small amounts of wind,
Yeah.
and are kind of just blowing in the wind. But you notice this.
All right. I will stop at the one that I noticed that's down near like knee level or whatever, and that seems to be strung between 2 points, right? 2 trees, maybe.
Right.
I'll stop and wait for the party to catch up at that point because I want to point out to them that I've noticed this, and I will, I'll also say, I don't know exactly what we're dealing with here, but as I'm sure many of you are very smart people know, the way that spiders hunt is by feeling vibration in their web. In their webs, a lot of them, not all of them, of course. But if we're going to be walking through here and breaking webs, there's a very good possibility we're going to alert whatever created the webs in the first place.
Would it make sense then for us to fly above it for an hour? And to get ahead of it?
I never knew that.
mean, it's definitely going to keep us from breaking the webs, but that will make us a little bit more visible from a distance. So up to you what you
Fly
guys
above cloud cover,
prefer.
but we can do whatever. I'm just putting out options.
Are you still a wolf?
I would have unwolfed for this.
Presumably, yeah. Cool. Just checking.
This seems important enough to be able to speak.
Yeah. Just want to. Yep. I'm just keeping my ducks in a row as well.
No. Thank you. Of course.
Yep.
All right. So what's everybody think? Spiders or sky? This isn't really a ranger decision. It's more what you'd rather face.
Ember?
Sorry, Poland season was the 9 on my stealth.
Point out the webs. I'll make them go away. That's not a problem.
Right, but that will still pinpoint our location. Right, as soon as if it's a vibration thing, then as soon as you touch it, whether by fire or by me touching it, it's going to pinpoint our location. So if we go above it, maybe we can get ahead of it.
What if we just kill all the spiders?
It still pinpoints our location.
If she's fishing and is capable of doing so already, flying or not isn't gonna matter.
Right.
Now, dead spiders would highlight our location unless the dead spiders came with us.
All right.
There won't be any
disgusting.
There won't be any dead spiders. Let's understand. There'll be a
sure,
little
sure.
ember and dust, and you're welcome to collect as much of that as you'd like. I
mean,
intend
I
to
could
kill them
probably
with
use it.
fire.
I think Yvaine makes a very valid point. I wanted to stay out of the air personally, but we took her cat down. She doesn't have a way to fly that we know of, right?
Correct.
So we
Well,
could make good ground. Oh, sorry,
she
Glenn.
she moved up and down through the decks of the ship with relative ease. If she's not flight
That
capable,
doesn't mean she can
she's very
move
scuttly.
as quickly as I can. That doesn't mean she can move
Correct.
as quickly as I can in the air.
Hmm.
And
That is
that was
true.
more passing through objects. She really didn't fly without the cat thing.
I mean, it could have been a very impressive vertical leap. You're correct. She could have dunking skills.
And levitation and flight are different.
Mm.
We don't know if she was levitating or flying per se. Being truthful, we saw her levitate and we saw her disapparate.
So we could theoretically fly for a bit, and then if Yvaine's able, we could maybe do the pass without a trace again, where we land and cover our tracks a bit.
Hmm.
I will leave that up to Yvaine and Zarvog. It's
You are the experts.
Just based on my own experience and ability, I'm just more familiar with and more comfortable with traveling along the ground. But I don't have a problem with taking to the air if that seems like the better course of action.
What does Finch think?
Honestly, we've come this far with the guidance of Czar and Yvaine, so I feel like a lot of this is far out of my remit, and I'll go with what they say is most trusted for them.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm thinking if the goal is flight, are there any large flying creatures native to this region to make it less suspicious?
Hmm. Nobody here has really spent a grand amount of time in the natures of Sira. It's a completely different biome. You can guess at what normally could be found in these biomes, but if there are unique creatures to it, that is a different tale. I'll tell you what, though. Anyone could go ahead and make a. Well, I'll leave this to. Oh, you said it broadly, so I'll say to anybody who wishes to can make a nature check, but this is going to be solely based on what you may have seen over the last 3 hours.
Mhm.
Yes, Yvaine.
Has Yvaine ever met anyone from Pyra? Would anyone from Pyra in her life had ever come to visit Terra? Because she's incredibly curious. She probably would have spoken to them. Is it a possibility?
I don't think so.
I had to ask. That's fine.
Yeah. Fair enough. I don't
I'll make
think
my
so.
nature check. It's not great, so we're good. It's a 9. Very good. He's got no idea.
Glint got a nat 1, so Glint's like, what if we just made spiders with wings?
Nick's got a 6, so they don't really know either.
Zarvo got a 14, but he doesn't know this particular landscape. The only connection that might exist, if there's a similarity, is between this and the what's it called, the Iron Sea Ridge or whatever. If there's something similar, that would be his closest frame of reference.
I got a 12.
Someone here, who was the one who rolled above a 15? That was you, Zarvog?
No, I got a 14.
14? Okay.
I don't think anybody rolled above a.
Nobody rolled above.
Yeah, we didn't do so good here.
Over the last little while, I'll say that you guys have found like just small creatures here and there. You found like, this is pretty. Let me see here. You're looking for this is flying creature specific, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You guys maybe saw like a snowy owl. Maybe one of you. I'll say my 14 had like a bear. Everyone was like, "Ooh." And it was like this white, snowy, like Hedwig, basically, snowy owl. Kind of. It was like a
Does
rare
Yvaine
catch.
think that the whole party could fly on the backs of two giant snowy owls?
It's
No.
hilarious.
This number of people laden in heavy, some of them laden in heavy armor. Yeah, that's not gonna be
Then it's not even an option. Then it's not
It's a
even.
no from me, dog.
it's gonna be
All
a no
right.
for me, dog.
Yeah,
I'm just
Yvaine's
picturing Azar trying to climb on the back of a snowy owl.
Right. Yeah.
Giddy up.
Yvaine would
I
make
was-
it easy
Yeah.
for him, but that's not the point.
I was actually going to defer to Yvaine's judgment and go with flight if that's what she thought was best, but it sounds like that's not a practical possibility.
As soon as we step,
It would be close. It would be very close because Ember can go in his ring. If you turn to say Finch, who's the heaviest member of the party with armor, into the other owl, and you are an owl, and no Ember, that would leave Beverly, Glint, Zarvolg, and Nyx to be carried.
And Fen,
And
who weighs
Fen.
200 pounds.
Fen outweighs Glenn.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah,
English
Fen's a big-
mastiffs. Big
Fen-
dogs.
Fen actually
dogs.
outweighs Zarvolg by a little bit.
I love
Yeah.
mastiffs. They're precious animals.
Yeah. We're gonna say no for the sake of we're gonna say no. That's a tough
Yeah.
number of individuals and a tough amount of weight.
so we need to be able to use the Coatl, which is a huge creature, to be able to get everyone.
Yeah, so, and I will say, a giant pterodactyl-like creature flying above the tundra forest is probably very noticeable for miles around.
A Godzilla monster.
Yeah, you'd be surprised if someone in that village didn't see your descent and went, "Holy shit, what was that?" You know?
Even the carved face on the tree turns and goes, "Oh."
Yeah, you'd be amazed if wasn't yeah, that bird was noticed by someone. At least one sentient, intelligent creature was like, "What?" As that flew by. That shouldn't exist, you know?
Yeah. I could fly for a short while, but it wouldn't be nearly as long as your polymorphing. So I don't think I'd be able to help too much on that front.
All right. Sorry, Evie. It sounds like we're going on the ground.
Which means they're probably gonna confront us sooner than later.
Fair.
That, as they say, was the inevitable end anyway.
Right. Oh, I see what you did there.
She knows where we're going.
Right.
There was only one place in the continent of the Silverish we could be going. The Dawn City. It stood against the
Different members of our organization told her where we were going
I told her.
explicitly.
And
She's an
got
assassin
decent
with,
information in return.
and
She's
that's-
She could have been
a
sweet other
calamity,
weeks ago.
I'm
a
saying
calamity dated assassin.
Yeah, she's something of a murder case.
Murder Sheila.
and that's perfectly fine. I don't have any problems. But if she has that background, she's going to
run
be
into her.
she's
Yeah.
going to be, because our locus is Vasselheim. She is going to encounter us before we get there, because
We get to go
that
in.
cone gets smaller and smaller and smaller from her perspective.
As we approach. That's right. All right, so
And what if we
strap.
were off track a little bit?
It won't matter. The cone is
Yeah.
narrowing and narrowing and narrowing until it gets to Vasselheim.
Yeah, we've got to. We have to approach the city at some point.
Do you think she would attack us in the midst of temple grounds in Vasselheim itself, somewhere that's already holy and defended?
I think
Probably
she
not.
gets this before that.
It'll be before that.
It's too bad nobody here is like a rogue or an assassin, because then I could maybe like give you guys a
Spy
little
versus spy.
yeah, a little insight into what her psychology might be as an assassin, but yeah.
But no.
But no.
All right. We'll wait. Cat and mouse, cat and mouse. All right. Let's go. Cobwebs it is.
Okay. You guys move through, trying to do your best to stay away from cobwebs. You travel for another hour, presumably doing the zigzag scout follow formation.
Oh, no. Let us
Oh,
be
course not.
absolutely abundantly clear. Unless somebody tells me not to, it will be produce flame, control flame. There will be no cobwebs.
All right.
The new
Because
leader of the party, yep, becomes Ember, and in a very Dumbledore fashion, with the lighter, where he takes out the lights, in the exact opposite way, Ember's like very majestically like, and taking out these like little webs here and there, as you guys go along.
They're just constantly sizzling.
Yeah, there's a constant like. I almost imagine there's like an aura. There's like an ember aura, and then as you hit a certain direction, it starts to burn. Maybe there's a part of like, where it's fiery today. Got a little hot in this boreal forest.
it's wet enough. It won't spread too far.
No, absolutely no. Of course not. No. With the snow and the recent downpour from the mountain, that will not be an issue. But the spider webs are in great danger, of course.
All right.
All right, let's keep her going. You guys travel for the next hour pretty much without issue. At this point, we're on hour 4. You've made it through halfway through this very tense day. However,
Dun, dun, dun.
I gotta say it. I'll be
Spiders have wings?
spiders. A snake with wings hits Yvaine on the side of the face. Like,
Yes.
everyone goes, ah! No! They only just stopped talking to me about that. No, that doesn't actually happen. That's it. Maybe it should have happened, but it didn't happen. But I will assure you, Yvaine, if I ever roll a flying snake, you've got its number.
It's all you.
It's all you, buddy. But no. You don't see that at all. What you see in the middle of the woods, as you come upon, you hear in the middle of the woods, coming from not directly ahead, but maybe a couple hundred feet to, I don't know, like the east, generally in the forward direction. You hear this like almost like this old biddy singing a song some way up ahead. Anyone wish to do anything?
Yeah, I'm gonna stop the party, and then I'll leave Fen with Yvaine, and I will travel ahead to see if stealthily to see if I can figure out what this old lady's up to.
All right.
Does she have?
Make me a
Does
stealth.
she or does she not have a gingerbread cottage? Is what I'm after.
We will find out soon enough. Make me a stealth check. I'll put out something for you, Nyx, actually. if I got you for a second there, Nix.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could you roll me a little insight check? Because you come
I
from
knew
a
it was going to be.
you come from a place where the rules are very different. What'd you get?
Nick's got a 9.
9? Oh, okay. Sounds like an old lady
Yeah.
singing. Cool. Super cool.
It's going to be a satyr.
You go
That'd be
tiptoeing
awesome.
through. What did you get there, Mr. Zarval?
21.
21.
21.
You go tiptoeing through the window. I will say, as Zarval goes to leave Nyx, it's like Zarval kind of disappears in the one. In that moment, you go like, you're in a different plane of existence, so it probably doesn't work this way. But you do know when it comes to the Fae and you hear singing, you usually probably shouldn't approach because it could be a spell, but it's probably nothing to worry about because this is like the material plane or whatever, right? People are allowed to sing here without it's not as dangerous, so whatever. But that thought comes to your mind where like on your plane, if you hear like ominous singing, usually the answer is not to go terribly close to it, or be very careful as you do so. But Zarvolg, you're gonna go through the wood and you're gonna see laden in a very, very thick shawl, winter clothes, of course, no furs, but like lots of like heavy cloth, not burlap, but definitely like tied the hell up. You see this sort of so slightly hunched old woman picking mushrooms and putting it in her basket. And she's sort of singing, and we going down the road, we're going to sing. She turns around. What did you roll on your stealth again?
21.
Okay, yeah. There's no way she's catching you, and you know it. And she sort of picks them, puts them in her basket, and sort of like goes wandering through the wood to go look for some more.
Can I do a primeval awareness to see if she shows up?
She does not.
Ah! Ah! All right. I will make my way back to the party and let them know. All right, this is something magic-y for you magic folks. There's what seems to be what looks like an old woman out there picking mushrooms, singing to herself. She seems to be alone. She seems to be a bundled up old woman, but she's not a humanoid.
What is she?
That I couldn't tell you. I just know that there's something not naturally human about her.
Oh, is this
humanoid?
One of your gut feeling senses situations?
I can tell that she doesn't. There's something off. She doesn't interact with nature the way a humanoid, you or me or anyone else does.
Finch, if we get close enough, do you think you could tell if it was like you?
I could try. Or not like me.
Zarval, would you like to hold Philoctetes for a while?
Actually, my first thought, given the tree that we encountered and what Nyx was saying, I would think Faye would probably be the most likely candidate.
Most likely, yes.
How do we confirm that?
All right. Do we remember the rules from last time from the sisters underneath? Do we need to remember giving names, eating food? Right? Do you remember? Everyone remember the rules. And Yvaine looks right at Finch.
I will say in this moment, you might realize that as far as like interacting with Fae go, you'll start to sort of get into it. But you recognize in this moment you have like a native of the Feywild amongst you who might know quite a great deal about, like, as if it were their literal way of life, and how to interact with such things.
Oh yeah.
What's your the experience with these creatures? These old woman creatures.
I don't know about old woman creatures, but I would definitely. I would think we should maybe avoid her, not interact at all. I think we should leave her alone personally, if it's possible. Could we maybe go in a different direction to get where we're going?
Sure.
Yeah, we can definitely go around her.
Excellent. Yeah,
Just your wisdom.
go around her. Perfect. Now it's all of us.
All right, you have to not be quite as clanky as you've been recently.
I'll try not to get out of breath while walking.
Glenn just holds his breath.
Yvaine will cast Pass Without a Trace and then turn into a direwolf and get underneath Gwent, which will at least save his lungs some.
Flint gets a little winded climbing on top of the direwolf.
All right, we're going to try and sneak around.
Got it. And as we are doing this, I want to send you, Nix, a little, it's going to be very quick in the Zoom, but it's going to be a little sort of like what you would know about when it comes to interacting with such creatures, which you can keep for your character sheet if you ever cared to. But yes, you guys can go around at the advice of your Fey friend. Okay, there, it's coming your way. I'm just gonna do a little formatting of the paragraph. There it is. So those are that's something you would know. There's other stuff you'll know, and I'll slip to you as we go along as they become relevant, but this is sort of an initial something you would know as and to be clear, being in Eladrin, you don't necessarily need, maybe you might feel, maybe your character might feel inclined to follow these rules, but there is nothing binding you to do so. Okay. You continue on. You don't regard the old woman, who definitely didn't have special magical gifts to help you in your travels. Anyway, or poison in her pies. Who knows?
Don't narrate like that.
All of the wonderful theatrical possibilities are left behind, and you continue with your travels. As this random encounter is gone forever. You guys continue your travels onward for another couple hours of the day. We'll see how those go. Fantastic. Next hour goes by without a hitch. That's 5 hours. Hour 6 rolls around. And as a reminder, if anyone ever feels the urge to interrupt me for any reason, role play, actions, whatever, by all means, feel free and go right ahead.
Are we going to push through straight without taking any short rests whatsoever?
I wondered about that. Do you want to take a short rest?
That's entirely up to you, folks. If we do, I can get some food into y'all, but that's entirely up to you.
Throw down a spell to keep us from scryings and the like.
Well, here's the next question. Do we want to try to plow through for more than 8 hours?
Honestly,
just a quick question before the conversation proceeds. You guys have been traveling non-stealthily, considering Ember has been burning anything that might look vaguely web-like. And to be clear, that was just a small section of forest that kind of disappears after a little while. Okay, so you guys have been traveling non-stealthily. As this conversation... Yes?
As soon as it disappears, I would have liked to have done an hour at least of Pass Without a Trace.
Got it. And that we'll say that was hour 5, and you guys begin to enter into hour 6. you guys start to begin to have this conversation about changing up the plan. Um, at which point I'm going to say, Finch, um, you you have a realization that you haven't been feeling like, in all of your resilience and all of your resolve, you've been feeling pretty good. Like that sort of noxious feeling of the crown itself is gone, and you have a moment of like, oh, that's weird. Crown, the feeling is kind of dissipated. Would you care to do anything about that?
Yeah, I think that would be incredibly strange, especially if it was persistent for an extended period of time and then just stopped.
Yeah, it was like you realize in this moment that you don't know when it happened. It must have been like a progression, but
Mhm.
you don't feel laden with the sensation yet.
I think I would talk to the party. Um, so not to cause any alarm, but maybe it's just because I'm getting used to carrying it, perhaps. But I think it's worth mentioning that I don't so much feel the burden of carrying this crown any longer. I can't say exactly when that feeling dissipated. Maybe it's been dwindling over time while we've been traveling, but I can't say that I feel very ill any longer in its presence.
The
Can you do that thing you do?
Oh, divine sense?
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, I will cast divine sense.
Okay.
Yvaine doesn't
I
know what it is, she just knows what it does.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Bobo does one too, but it's different, but it does things, it's a thing he does.
uh you um you have previously sensed desecration of the crown. You do sense that desecration within this box, and I will say
Okay.
that you do notice that the constitution of the box is growing less solid. Like those hard edges of the box are now becoming a little bit more like rounded off. You find your
Mhm.
fingers kind of pushed into it a little plushy like, almost as if it were like a pillow. You do recognize that the box is beginning to lose its constitution, as the headmaster told you it would.
Yeah, and I'll point that out. I don't know how much longer we have to travel, but I don't think that it's going to last much longer in the reliquary or in the device we have it in.
so we'll have to either carry it by hand or construct a new means of holding it about.
It it may be worthwhile taking a short rest, but assuming we're just going to have to push through without a long rest for a while. I'm putting it forward to the group. I will defer, of course, to the group's judgment.
Um, without you saying without sleeping for the night.
Yeah, I'm saying without sleeping for the night.
Well,
Now,
I will say that
I can't turn into an animal again until I take a short rest. Maybe it's worth taking a short rest and going on.
Um, my worry, if we try to do it all without sleeping, is Vasselheim was what, some a week away roughly. Even if we travel through the night without ceasing, we wouldn't cut it down to much more than 3 or 4 days.
Mhm.
The cloud chest will not. If it's already losing consistency now, I don't think it'll last 3 days or a week. Um,
yeah, I agree with Clint. I was going to say the same thing. I'm all as those who have traveled with me before know, I'm all for pushing forward and making as good a time as possible. But uh going without rest, risking a bit of exhaustion, especially with someone who's already struggling with their endurance, is not going to gain us that much ground. We're just going to be that much more tired and have to rest at a later point, still out here in the middle of nowhere. We're not a dawn's march from Vasselheim, essentially.
That's why I bring it up. All right, then we should look for someplace. Would it make sense to take the next 2 hours and do all of that as obscured as possible?
Certainly, I can. You can cover our tracks, and I could guard us from spells of detection. I'm sure that Zarval could find us somewhere outside of the common eye to lay our heads, and I could try and create something to bind it in, whether literally just seal it in a rock or something else. This has really gone through an exhausting number of very nice boxes. It's quite impolite of this crown.
I think impolite's probably a good word for it.
So I'm going to just toss something out there real quick.
Yeah.
Very right. You guys, from your landing point to Vasselheim is about 200 miles, which is moving at the fastest pace consistently. That's like, yeah, that's like a week. It's more than a week. We're not through day one. So just want to toss that out there. We've changed the plan many, many, many times today. We're not going to get to Vasselheim for many weeks if we don't gain some consistency in how we're traveling. I have put an exceptional number of random encounters in front of you, admittedly, this specific day. But just want to put that forth. That's I certainly intend to, and I hope you guys intend to, that the pace will begin to accelerate, or I will start streamlining your travel very soon.
I think what we'll likely need to do is less avoid sleep, at least for the first few days, and more simply try and travel as fast as we can while we're awake. I am very tired. I'm not in the best of health, but I'm sure I can handle at least a day or two of hard marching. I'll be huffing and puffing all the while, but I'll survive.
So what do we? You guys have two. Sorry, you have two. Nope, my apologies. You have 3 hours left to travel. How would we like to travel those 3 last hours? Are we taking a short rest in between before those 3 hours begin?
Normal paces.
Normal pace, okay. We doing a Zarvolg scout, or is he hanging back with the party?
We'll take the advantage of his terrain knowledge. He'll come with us.
Understood. Okay, you guys begin.
That seems like the.
Yep.
For the last 2 hours. Okay.
Sorry, just want to sound like you had more to your thought, Ember. Sorry.
No, that was it.
Okay, go ahead, Yvaine.
For the last 2 hours, she will cast Pass Without Trace.
Okay, cool, got it. So normal pace, Zarvolg at the front. Maybe off table, more sort of anxious, paranoid discussion happens about changing the routine. But we are going to, for all mechanical purposes and streamlining purposes, you guys forth at a normal pace. Zarvolg, as you are traveling ahead some 100 paces, you're walking and your foot kind of gets caught behind you. Not in a tripping sort of way, but like it got stuck to something. And you turn around and you see that there is a single thick line of webbing across the ground that your foot stepped on and then kind of got stuck to for a second. Very easy to pry yourself free, but
Yeah.
it is worth noting. And then as you kind of look ahead and your passive perception takes off, you start to see some, distance-wise beginning to pick up. You begin to start seeing some very large webs, very thick.
Okay, now it looks like we're finding spiders.
Now just big spiders too. No, these aren't little guys anymore. This is brood territory. Let me put it that way.
All right, everybody ready to do spiders? Evie, this is your thing.
You hang back and do you head back to the party? Do you wait for the party because you're scouting up ahead?
Oh, I'm head. Yeah, I will go back and let them know.
Okay. You turn around and you begin to head back towards the party, try and find them, try and head them off. Are you attuned to the weapon of warning?
I am, yes.
Okay. You are very aware as two spiders, very large blue and white spiders with many eyes, descend from the trees above. Roll me an initiative there, Sarkle.
Blue and white spiders.
I'll put a little
pretty.
picture in the Zoom chat.
Is it that guy?
This man repels down from the trees. They
Ew.
call him the spider.
That's right. That's terrifying.
You guys hear a very shrill old woman scream up ahead.
Oh no. We're now in a Sekiro game.
What'd you get there, Zarvolg?
26.
You win the initiative. As they sort of descend, sort of hit the ground there next to you. You would have been surprised, but your weapon warns you. They are very big. They are large-sized spiders. What do you do?
And they are looking hunty, I assume?
They are looking at you with their many, many eyes. Some 16 eyes are locked onto you.
Is there any way that I can tell whether this seemed like an aggressive descent or?
It was very much an aggressive descent. You would be,
All right.
you would probably have some fangs in you if you didn't have that weapon of warning on you.
Great. Well, then let's start shooting.
Alright, then. I'll probably put them a little closer because they were going to ambush you, but you got to them first. Okay, shoot away, fire away.
Yeah. Oh, let me hunter's mark one of them. The one right in front of me.
All right.
And that first shot is going to be a 25 to hit.
Oh, yeah.
And that's going to be 15 points of damage. Magical piercing.
It takes the damage. It's not quite bloody, but it stuck right into its abdomen, and it looks pretty hurt. Pretty dang hurt.
Oh, okay. Let me try that again. All right, that's a 25 to hit.
25 hits. Booyah.
That is 14 damage.
14 damage. It shoots it, starts to leak ichor. You've heard it very much so. It is very bloodied.
All right. I'm going to turn towards the other one, and I'm going to use not sharpshooter. Yeah, sharpshooter. The damage bonus. So,
sure. Yeah, minus 5 to the attack.
Yep.
Yep. Cool.
That'll teach me. That is a 10 to hit.
10 will not hit. You shoot too high, unfortunately.
I'm gonna do it
So,
again. Oh wait,
how are you? Yeah.
that was 3 attacks, so I'm going to use my action surge.
All right. Action search away. Still the other one.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's a 14 to hit.
14 hits.
All right. So that's going to be 15 damage. Damn it.
15 damage. All right.
All right.
Well done.
And
It hurt a
I
little bit.
one more attack.
All right.
I'll go ahead and continue to use sharpshooter on that
Okay.
second one.
Sharpshooter.
Man. There we go. 17 to hit.
17 does hit. Roll damage.
Aha, there we go. 20 damage.
20 damage.
Oh no, I'm sorry. 24 damage.
24 damage. That is a very dead spider. You fire twice. One goes wide, and you fire 2 more, and it rolls over dead from your crossbow capabilities. Right. You have a bonus action.
Yeah. No, I use my bonus action for Hunter's Mark.
Right.
But I am going to send Fen to attack the first spider.
All right. Runs over there. It's a lot of attacks. It's a lot of attacks.
Yeah, this is. I can do I can do this very quickly and very briefly, and then I'm not able to do it anymore. So hurry up, the party. Oh, good for Fen. He's going to get a 22 on his gore.
Oh yeah, that'll get him.
And let's see. That is 15 damage.
15 damage. That is a dead spider. Ben jumps on top of him and rips a leg off of the spider, turns around and looks at you with a spider leg in his mouth and wags his tail.
All right. Now we're going to try to make our way, I guess, with the rest of my movement, if we're still in combat.
No, you're not
or
in combat.
If not,
you're good.
Okay. We're going to try to make our way quickly back to the rest of the party.
Got it. You veet back to the party, and you do so without further issue. You know, sort of hunter tactics a bit. You had says that was an independent sort of maybe like scouty party there. The full wrath of the brood
right.
might not be far behind, but you do find your party.
All right.
With ease.
So I will say that. I will say all right, so all of these webs that were... Oh, you haven't seen the webs yet. There's a bunch of big webs up ahead and spiders about yay big. Ben and I
Ben
just
is still holding the spider leg, so some perspective.
he points at the he points at the leg. Fen and I just killed 2 of them, but I'm sure that 2 aren't all that there are. So we should prepare to fight our way through this.
There is I'll throw out there. Now that you've encountered the webbing and the situation, you could attempt to make a survival check to sort of like bring the party wide around the brood now that you've sprung the initial trap. Okay, make me survival checks.
That's a 15.
15. Now that you know where it is, you can estimate sort of the territory of the brood and where they might be going and looking if they are unintelligent creatures, presumably, to try and find you all. You sort of take a wide berth, and if the spiders are coming, they will miss you along the way. You guys make your way around where the spiders might have come with the help of Zarval. Yeah, good job, Zarval. You did it.
Nice. All right.
Nice. And with that, you come to the end of your day a little while later as the sun begins to set on this very tense, long day. You all sort of sit down, probably like emotionally exhausted, some of you maybe, a little physically exhausted, and maybe have that huff of like, man, that was day 1. And, you know, Asielra is an untamed frontier wilderness. It's and with that, you have enemies within it, and you have a crown who has a will to be found by your enemies. This is it's been a long couple of days, man, with this stupid crown, and you guys realize perhaps that you're in for it for the next little while. That this is not going to be an easy haul, because we went between slow and fast pace today. I'm going to say you made. I'm going to say you made 20 miles of distance today towards Vasselheim.
Right. So we'll get some rest and try and go a little bit faster tomorrow, maybe, now that we know what we're dealing with.
Are those dead spiders still just, over there?
No, they're they're gone.
Oh, they're gone.
Behind.
All right.
Yeah, you went around. You could have gone back to try and acquire them, but you probably would have encountered the larger brood. But
Yeah.
if you went around, then no, they're.
That's right. We went around. Yeah.
Totally fair.
For those of you who are, I'll probably say like probably Zarvolg and Ember. You guys are pretty sure you are. You're probably like at absolute running, like fast, like Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli hunting the Uruk-hai, running through the woods, fast pace. You're a week out. When you wake up tomorrow, you're a week out from Vasselheim. So you got a long ways to travel, my friends. If you intend to remain off road, of course.
Are we buckling down for the long rest now? Is that correct?
I believe that's the idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's a few things I can sort of work on at the moment. Namely, Glenn's going to lay down a private sanctum to block out, divinations and teleportations and planar travel. And I'll toss that up.
Fantastic.
Now, I will admit, I do not currently have the sequence for fabrication memorized at just a second. I was expecting the cloud to hold a little bit longer. I could try and sort of speed prep it, but it would take me about an hour of practice to get it right. And that's an extra hour that we wouldn't be traveling. Would you rather I just did that come morning?
Or we can opt to do the super expedient thing, and we have an abundance of mud and a lot of cold.
That's true. We could just make a brick around it the old-fashioned way. Tell you what, I can pack it. You can fire it.
Easily done.
My liege.
All right. Well then, let's get muddy.
I will say, as you come to the end of the day, you guys begin to do this little science project. I will say that the box, the cloudy box, has thoroughly begun to lose its constitution. It is to the point where you're starting to feel the pricks and spines of the crown are beginning to poke out of the box, and you expect it probably doesn't have long left. And if you squeezed it too hard, it might just go into nothing. Yes, Vivian, or Yvaine.
Vane actually sees this and wants to speak to the group.
Mm-hmm.
He says, reliably, once a week, I can cast a divination. It allows me to ask one question. I have to be honest with you, I've done this once before, and the answer was incredibly vague, and it made me want to drink, honestly, for all the good it did. However, it occurs to me I could go in and ask for, hey, could you contain the box for a day? Or, hey, could you show us the fastest way to get from here to Vasselheim? Reliably, I can do this thing once, but I could ask either the Moonweaver or potentially the Knowing Mentor one single question. And you're smarter than I am, Glint and Ember. So We could do that tonight before we go to bed. I could actually. I will also be largely blitzed for about an hour and will be completely incapable of doing much of anything, so someone will have to protect me.
All right. Well, I'll be honest. Some years back, I eventually fell into worship of Sarenrae, partially because she's very casual about her faith and quite welcoming. I don't think my experience in asking things of higher powers is going to be particularly up to snuff. At least not in the way you'd want it to be. Ember might have a better handle on that. But I'm going to go make a mud brick.
Ember? Finch?
Ultimately, I don't know. It's, the fastest way to Vasselheim is, a horse, a cart, a something. Go by the road. We're intentionally not to run askew, but we don't know at this point if
So it's in the wording of the question you're telling me. How do we live and get the artifact to Vasselheim?
give it away.
I was thinking about the horse thing actually earlier. Yvaine, and also I think this would be a question for Finch, as you seem to draw on similar divine magics. Could either of you conjure a horse, or turn into a horse, or turn someone into a horse?
Yes, easily.
How many horses could we get, and for how long?
I could summon a pack of horses if we needed a pack of horses. If Finch had their own horse, it would be a little bit easier, but I have to see what a horse is and how many, but I feel like I think I can summon 5 horses.
Okay, because I could create something of a cart that could carry someone behind a horse. One person. I'm not talking about a whole thing like the sled all over again. Just a little hovering disc that could carry a person. Now I cannot create a horse currently. I would need a lot more bones for that. And probably not spiders either.
Give me a moment. I just have to think about, really thinking about that spell to find out how many. I can't see how many spells. How many horses I could.
Do you Yvaine? Do you, Yvaine, intend to? This is what spell were you intending to cast? That you meant to
Summon beast. I could theoretically prepare summon beast for tomorrow, and summon horses.
I meant the prophetic one. You meant to speak to the gods.
Yeah.
Just to get some stuff out of the way, as it seems we're just to get the yeah. So point of order 1. You want to talk to God. How do you intend to talk to God?
I'm going to dress in my monk's robes, and I'm going to put on all of my oh fuck, I'm outing myself. Yeah. I'm going to put on all of my stuff for the knowing mentor, and I'm going to I still have 3 25 gold pieces, smidges of residuum, so I'm going to prepare that 25 gold pieces worth as the component for divination, which I do have prepared today.
Okay.
And since the knowing mentor knows stuff and I've been working for her for a really long time, I'm going to try to talk to her and see if she can show me the way home.
Okay. You prepare the residuum. You will use it as the consumable offering of divination. Um, as you attempt to contact uh, the knowing mentor, at least a close servant
Yeah.
to that god. The residuum empowers you with enough magic that it does push your consciousness force. And just so you know, divination is a ritual spell, and druids are ritual casters. So you don't need to prepare the spell, just as a reminder.
Oh, actually, oh shit, I didn't know that.
You don't need to prepare ritual spells, yeah.
No shit. Oh,
Really?
So
screwed that up.
how
So
ritual so hang on. So how ritual spells work is if you wish to cast it. So for example, divination is an action casting type. If you wish to cast it as an action, yes, you need it prepared. But if you wish to cast it as a ritual, you don't need to prepare it, but then in that case you must use the 10-minute time it takes to cast it. You don't need to prepare it.
Is that new
wow.
for the 20?
I thought you had to prepare it in order to use the. Yeah, see, I totally.
No, that's 2014. Maybe that's changed in 2024, but rituals in 2014. You don't
well, that's lovely, and thank you. And either way, I'm covered. But I would like to cast it as a ritual if I could. I will say this. Yvaine actually changes clothes to cast this. I mean, she has to cast it outside of Glint's thing that he's doing because that messes with, I guess, talking to things. But she would do it outside, and when she would come out, she would be dressed in blue monk. I guess blue monks, not regalia, but like
you do have to have it prepared, don't you?
Yeah, wizards are the only ones that can pull it off.
Oh, that's a wizard specific.
Yeah, because they have the limited number of spells they learn compared to other prepared casters.
But I do have it prepared. I legitimately have it prepared for this very instance. Did it on purpose.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's no problem. Yeah, okay. Either way, you cast divination. You can cast it as a ritual or as an action.
But I'm sort of letting everyone know that you see she comes out in sort of like a monk's pants and shirt, and she has a holy symbol that's a face with 3 eyes in it, and that becomes a focus.
So you guys have on occasion seen a monk of the Cobalt Soul. They're scarcely seen around town, but not entirely unseen. You know that Yvaine is a monk of the Cobalt Soul. She sort of makes a bit of a performance of coming out and showing off the cobalt blue robes, as I assume you go off to go change somewhere out of sight, return to the group in these robes, and then perform a somewhat complex divine ritual before you all. And Yvaine, as you sort of attempt to contact the outer planes to this ritual with this strange symbol she holds around her neck, what would you call upon the knowing mentor to answer if she can?
Will you guide us to Vasselheim without injury?
Okay. She says, you get back within your mind. It's less of like someone saying, "Hey, Yvaine, yeah, let's talk." It's less of a conversation, and almost more of like, sort of like a eureka moment, like an acknowledgement of like knowledge you had within your mind, as if someone was bringing that forth to you, that moment of sort of eureka, inspiration, knowledge, inspirational moment. Which is to say, no. But it comes forth in such a way as to say, you have been chosen. You have been chosen to protect this crown, to protect this sacred duty, and to forward it forth. You you have been chosen because you are believed to be what is needed at this time by the gods. It is to you and your powers. It is to you and your abilities, your powers to see this through. It is not for the gods to descend from the heavens, for they do not have the ability to do so to aid you. The Spider Queen has picked her agents, and the gods have picked theirs. And time will tell to see if it is the prime deities or the deceiver who have made the right choice in champions.
Oh, come on. Oh. I mean,
Why
you
can't
had
God?
one
Why can't
tantrum.
God just come down from heaven and solve my problems for me?
I don't
Why?
want to solve the
So
solution for the
mean.
problem, but maybe just a thread, maybe just something, maybe just
Maybe just an entire ancient dragon and a divine monastery to protect you for 7 days.
Are you
Fine.
you doing all
Fine.
right over there, Yvaine? I mean, you have the comfy bathrobe and everything.
Are you serious? No, it's fine. It's fine. I've got this. I've got this.
There you go. That's the spirit.
And Yvaine comes out fully pissed off.
Imagine Yvaine storms out and the camera pans over to Glint's like sleeves rolled up, arms deep in mud as Ember's like getting a fire going. It's like catching the children finger painting.
I flew up.
Carry on, gentlemen. Apparently, you're doing fine.
Aside from all of the divine aid we've received to this point, why can't we have more?
I'm thinking, what if instead of a brick, we did a big bowl?
And why don't we go ahead and take a break with that? And we will return. All right, cool. All right, with that, you have buried the crown in a ball of hot, blasted mud. You settle in for the night. Long rest.
Yeah. So Glint did toss down the Mordenkainen's private sanctum, and then would also toss up some alarm spells just in case we get spiders or assassins coming up in the night.
Okay. And you all get a long rest.
Delightful.
Ain't that stupendous thing? So, the mood and the encounters that you faced on this first day will persist throughout the days that follows. There will be some, here and there, some odd things that will happen. And there will definitely be a stronger presence of spiders and spider webs as you go. And the same sort of perhaps paranoia, caution, and so on and so forth will persist as the days go on. I had made day one be a little bit more intense than the rest of the days to sort of illustrate what travel is like for the Aurora Concordant over this next week. As time goes on, it may be worth playing into your characters, perhaps playing into that paranoia or playing into that sort of emotional exhaustion, uncertainty, as these things will persist for a while, and especially the idea of like this assassin in the dark. Like, have you lost them? Are they there waiting for their moment to strike? Are they around any corner? And when they appear, they'll appear if they appear. But as the days go on, your characters will continue to feel this edge of danger that will persist unendingly throughout the next, there are about 7 days of travel. So on this next day, are we doing a normal pace with our ranger scout? Are we sticking to that?
I don't know. I think Zarvo would suggest that we, We've varied our pace a little bit. We've made a little distance. We've made efforts to, kind of obscure our path a little bit. I think probably on the second day, he would suggest that they try to forego a little bit of that to make haste. So maybe some, as much faster travel as we can. Yeah.
Okay. I also wanted to do that first day to sort of begin to mark a pattern. So an important pattern being Yvaine, your pass without a trace. You did about half of the day with pass without a trace. It was maybe a little more was pass without a trace towards the end of the day. You would persist with that throughout the travels. Okay, so why don't we say, just for the sake of ease, that every other hour you do a pass without a trace, and then those last 3 hours will receive a pass without a trace also, depending on spell slot availability, of course, and your own wants, just for the sake of. Okay, fantastic. Starting at hour 1, presumably, with pass without trace. You're going to vary your travel pace. So what that looks like mechanically is you want to do a fast pace varying between fast and normal throughout the day?
Yes.
Okay, understood. No problem. So I will say that you guys are doing about halfway between the two travel distances. So I'm going to say like 27 miles a day, which is a little better than normal, a little worse than fast. Buys you guys a couple miles a day. Okay, you guys begin to travel. There's the presence of spider webs. There's the presence of spiders, not near enough to actually waylay yourself. But whether it is something sent by the Kato-Geist or by the Spider Queen herself, or if these beings are drawn to the power of the crown, whatever it may be, it persists. Let's see what major event happens today. Okay. As you guys finish, I'll say like as embers at the front at one point burning away some webs, Zarvolg, you happen to ping off a primeval awareness, and there. About a mile, a little less than a mile off, you detect 4 humanoids, as you did on day 1.
Yep. In that same direction or in a different direction?
It is they're in a different direction now. They're north of you now. You had been traveling, you traveled away from them. They were east of you, but you all continued to travel south.
Yeah.
There's 4 humanoids north of you. These could be the same, these could be different, but there is some level of coincidence that might draw your attention.
Okay, interesting. I will report to the group this whole thing. Yesterday as we were traveling, there was a group of 4 humanoids that were I didn't catch it in context. They were a ways off and they were in the opposite direction that we were going, so I didn't pay a lot of attention. Today, however, there is another similar group of 4 humanoids roughly in the same direction that these would have been if they were following us. How far away are they, Ryan?
A little less than a mile, so a couple thousand feet off.
Oh, and they're not very far away at all.
I think a mile is about 4,500 feet.
Yeah.
So they're a little more than. I'm not supposed to give you exact measurements, but they're less than a mile away when you detected them.
Do you want to try and push on faster then and trying to avoid them? Or...
Thank you, Evan.
Well, I mean, we can. We've been moving relatively quickly today. They don't seem to be having much of a problem keeping up as far as speed goes. Um,
It could be
you know,
mounted.
it might be worth saying that the last time this happened, that I, picked somebody up that was coming in towards us. It was the ranger elves from and the sky dancers from Lirangorn. So that just because they're following doesn't necessarily mean they're bad. It could be somebody intending to aid us.
Yeah, could be a Shari, could be people from one of the other towns, it could be another party of adventurers.
They don't, because of the way that they're moving. It seems just unlikely to me individually, that it would be a random party happening to pass through the same area. That's what I thought yesterday. The fact that
Hmm.
this continues to be within our uh, vicinity makes it a little suspicious that it wouldn't be involved with us.
Repetition does seem to lend itself to conspiracy. All right. Well, do you want to try and keep on evading them, or do you want to head them off at some point?
It's a good question. If I mean, one thing that we could do, they're not that far behind. Uh, if a number of you wanted to, or if the rest of the group wanted to continue forward at a not entirely speedy pace, I could hang back, hide, scout it out, and catch back up with you.
All right. What do the rest of you all think?
I think we just continue to to skate. How often can you leverage that sixth sense?
Um, as often as I like, I suppose. It just gives me really a brief snapshot of what nature's telling me is happening. So it's not continuous, it's not ongoing, but there's not really
And
a limit to how often I can do it.
okay, so we go every couple hours, and you just check in on them again. We continue to push at the same current pace. If it's four on something, I don't want you to be skating so far behind us that they represent a problem.
That's fair. And then if we think it looks too suspicious, we stop and confront. Maybe is that what we're saying?
I think that's reasonable. If they are hunting us, then it's better to take care of them rather than leave them on our trail, yes?
Yeah, most likely, especially like I said, since it seems like they're not losing ground.
Whew. All right.
Okay. You guys are just going to keep on keeping on.
Yeah, it sounds like for now, unless they keep gaining on us, is that my understanding?
Um,
Yep.
they're
Sounds
pretty
like
close.
sounds like we're proceeding forward, at least for a little ways, so that we can get a follow-up check to see if they appear to continue to be at either the same distance or closing in.
Understood. Okay, so you're gonna keep going, keep traveling, and then you're gonna do another ping in a little while, make sure they're
Right.
not keeping up. So we'll say this hour you kind of veer towards a fast pace to kind of make some ground.
Right.
You do sense, we'll say after an hour of travel, and all seems to go well, you do indeed sense You sense them. Oh, that's the wrong dice. There it is. You sense them 4 miles north, which is a pretty.
Oh yeah.
They might have stopped. They might have stopped falling. It's a pretty dramatic fallback. In fact, that would suggest that they haven't moved since last Yvaine.
Right.
Well, actually, no, I take it back. So if you went at a fast pace, you would have traveled 4 miles forward from last, which means they've only traveled one additional mile this last hour. But they would have indeed traveled one additional mile south this last hour.
Yeah. So I mean, it feels like essentially in the same direction that we're going.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I guess obviously the same general direction. I guess I meant like sort of the same heading, right? I don't feel like they're veering off in one direction or another slightly. They seem okay.
Yeah.
Well, they do seem to still be on our specific trail. But within the last hour they've fallen back a couple of miles. So they're not making every effort to close in on us immediately.
Let's take a jog.
I can increase the party's speed for an hour.
Oh,
I will say this last hour was a pass without a trace hour. I would have assumed you guys would have covered your trail as you were evading.
yeah.
Just as a note.
I can
So-
I can bring some friends from the Fey realm who can get us all to fly. It will be faster, but it won't be extra stealthy. It'll just be flying. So it'll be a bit faster.
How long does the flight?
Only each fairy can cast it on each of us for an hour.
Less than an hour. That's impressive.
I believe so, yeah. We're going to check, but I believe some beings is an hour.
I think it works. I mean, it cuts down on terrain variability and obviously eliminates footprints and other signs of passing. So it would essentially do what we've been trying to do and make things a little bit easier. I like it. Speeds things up a little.
I've got a quickie question.
Okay.
And this is for Yvaine and for Zarbog. If we do that and we bifurcate our path, Zarvog and Fen, you continue kind of on the same line that we're on, and the rest of us jog to the east. And you then periodically get your huntsman sense together and see which path they want to track and follow.
Yeah.
We move the box with us. You perhaps intentionally leave a path that they could follow. You've got enough speed that when you get tired of doing that and you've got a sense of motive, you could make it back to where we are, because we're not going to be difficult to find, because I don't blend.
Yeah, no, I think that's smart.
Yeah, it's kind of like the old rumor game. You tell 4 variations of rumors to different folks, and then you wait to see what you get back.
Right.
All right. So what's the plan?
So it sounds like we're going to separate our paths a little bit. The party's gonna go. We're all still headed in the same general direction, I think, but the party's going to veer to the east a little, rather than going directly south. Zarvol's going to continue directly south, and we are going to, and I'm going to check back in a little while, to see what direction our friends have chosen.
And we'll use Yvaine's friends to give us a little bit of a speed boost, and
And get them off the ground.
And the majority of us up off the ground. Zarvog can leave a trail that they can follow if they want, and we see which way they go.
I'm gonna hobgoblin stomp.
Got it. So it's very sorry, one more time. So it's Zarvog, and is anyone else with your party? Is it just you, Zarvog? It's just Zarvog
me and Fen.
Okay.
Yep.
Zarvog and Fen and the rest of the party, and you guys are mounted on what? Sounds like you're mounted. Are you mounted on anything?
No.
Yvaine is gonna do some
Underwood
stuff.
Fairies.
Okay. What are the fairies doing?
And the fairies can each cast fly on each one of us. That will last 1 hour.
Can I do that multiple times?
Each fairy can cast fly once. So that covers each of us with an extra fairy, just in case.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is it Claire?
One for Fen, sorry. All fairies are accounted for because Fen gets his own fairy, and I'll just hold happy.
Okay.
No, I like Zarasola. Is Claire here?
Yes, Claire is one of the fairies, and Claire is always for Zar. But she has 7 sisters.
Okay, so 8 fairies are each one casting fly on each party member, including Fen and Beverly. And the actual fairies themselves are going with you, I presume, Yvaine? Or does everyone get a fairy companion for the next little while?
Everybody should get their fairy of their own.
Okay,
and
understood.
It's concentration on the spell to keep the fairies.
Understood.
Just to confirm, just because it's in my book, fly has a duration of 10 minutes.
Oh shit! It's conjure woodland beings.
Yeah, maybe the fairies last for an hour, but the spell only lasts for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, then I can give us 10 minutes.
Better than I mean, it's still quite a bit of movement. Yeah.
Okay. You all. So okay, Yvaine, you rub your hands together and you pull forth sprinklings of fey magic that sort of dabbles down to the ground around you, and growing from the ground, you're going to see these little flowers are going to begin to sprout at an enormously fast rate. And then as they sort of bloom and open, there's going to be these like little girls who are covered in like green leaves, and they kind of wake up and go, "Ah," and then various beautiful, colorful butterfly wings, moth wings, dragonfly wings will sort of sprout out, and they'll fly into the air, and there'll be like little spritz of fairy dust that kind of flutters off of them. Yvaine, you will give them your orders, and they'll go to each of you, kind of like sprinkle a little fairy dust on all of you. The 2 that have to go with Zarvolk and Fen are like, oh, but they will. The rest of them are very excited to stay, as they all sort of come over to Nyx and start like flying around Nyx and being like, hello, hello. And they start speaking to you in Sylvan, your mother tongue, Nyx, and they start saying like, oh, look at your hair, your hair's so nice. Why are you autumn? Are you sad? And they just kind of start talking to you and like fluttering around you like your personal fairy court. They'll do what you tell them to, Yvaine, and they will stay close, but they are very drawn to Nyx. Okay, and the plan begins to work. Hopefully. We'll go in different directions. Our are gonna go stomp into the ground. Yeah, making big stompy sounds.
Oh, we did this once before. Remember, I got Fen jumping up and down on the ground.
Yeah, that's right.
We were trying to lure something with like with tremor side or whatever.
It was the unkegs, I think.
Yeah. So we're doing our jumpy
Uh,
ground thing.
Okay, you're doing your jumpy ground thing, trying to make some noise. But and are you guys still traveling in a fast paced south but divergent?
Yeah, but that's if we run into any difficult terrain, that will obviously slow us down, but it isn't going to impact Darvog. So hopefully that'll give him enough time that he can get a sense of if they're trailing, who they're trailing, and be able to circle back to us before.
And at least for 10 minutes, difficult terrain shouldn't bother us. We should have 10 minutes of a reasonable straight line. It's not much, but something.
Okay. You guys fly south, maybe like a mile, and wait out for Zarvolg to come get you guys. So Zarvolg, you know that whatever it is, if it's 4 miles off, it's gonna take. They're gonna be on something pretty incredibly quick to catch up with you for an hour, like
Right.
even in an hour. Or if you're actively traveling south, even at a slow pace, it would take something tremendously fast to catch up with you regardless. You do your stomping bit with Fen. You guys like lace false tracks. I want you to make me lace false tracks. Let's just call this a deception check. I will give you. I'll let you use your wisdom modifier if you prefer, because this is sort of a survivorly deception-y thing you're doing.
I do prefer.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Oh, look at that. Nat 20 for a 23.
Okay. So you lay these tracks down. You all fly forward for a mile. And you wait there. And in around half an hour, Zarval catches up to all of you with Fen, who is sort of like flying like the dog from Peter Pan. And then you guys proceed on for another hour at a fast pace, presumably, or another half hour at a fast pace, presumably, to complete that instance of travel. 5 hours have passed today at that point. Was there you've done 3 passes out of traces today. Are we doing another pass out of trace? Yeah, okay. So that's 4 passes out of traces. When you get there, you will span your senses out, and you are going to sense the 4 humanoids. They seem to have taken. What was the total? It was a natural 20 for a total of
23.
They seem to have taken the bait, whatever it is. You
Meaning they
feel
followed
that they
me?
have. They did catch up that hour, most of that hour that they lost, and they seem to have. They're sort of like off in that direction. Math. Miles. They seem to have found what you think is that they've found your tracks, and they seem to be following your tracks. Though at a certain point they disappear. But they do seem to be following those tracks.
All right.
You have 3 hours left of travel. Would you wish to proceed to do so?
Yeah, I think we want to do so at a fast pace while we have them going in the wrong direction. So, and we've got 3 hours left today. So let's just, if everybody's okay with it, let's just do 3 fast hours at the end of the day here. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
For sure.
3 fast hours at the end of the day. Fantastic. With that, you come to the end of your day without any further interruptions. You end your day with a primeval awareness and sense nothing. You guys take some rest, and during that rest, nothing negative or of note happens. Nothing negative or of note happens. The crown is buried once more in a blasted. There's no more mud, by the way, at this point. It's solid fucking earth again. But I doubt that's going to stand in your way much. But do you wish to like? And worth pointing out, the crown is out now at this point. Like you blasted that like box of sand, or I guess that would remain for a while at least, before it would need to be replaced if it's like superheated sand or superheated mud. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna bake it into a brick. That's effectively what we're doing.
Yep, bake it into a brick. Yeah, and that'll last for a while, especially with the cold temperature. Yeah, it's no kiln, but it'll do pretty well for at least a couple days. So yeah, we'll say that the crown is currently baked into a brick. Whoever bears it will feel uncomfortable and throw up many times throughout the day. A horrible black ichor that is of a volume that no single individual should be able to hold in their stomach. But alas, you will anyway. You get to the end of that day. Day 3 rolls around. Primeval awareness in the morning?
Oh, yeah.
Nothing of note. You seem to have put a significant speed bump on your pursuers, if they are indeed pursuers. And you can begin your travels. I'm going to assume you guys were doing what you were last time, a sometimes normal, sometimes fast with a hobgoblin scout.
Yep. Yeah, so
Cool.
probably, yeah, like a relatively even balance of both of those, I would assume, since we went a little harder yesterday.
I do like to start the day with a pass without trace from where we were camped out.
Understood. I will assume that you start each hour of the pass without or you start each day with your first hour pass without a trace going forward.
Thank you.
Was there the idea of another divination from you, Yvaine? I know Ember suggested a question. Was that something you would have wanted to do before you slept? Or are you mad at the annoying mentor and don't want to talk to her?
Hold on. Did Ember actually say, okay, so above the table,
right?
Ember actually suggests something, or did Eric suggest something when we were sitting out?
I honestly could see Ember going, okay, so we got nothing worthwhile out of the, can you guide us to safety? Okay, can we get a punch card on Miss Stabs a lot? Can she be burned? that would be the one that I'd want to know.
This would be where Yvaine says, so I put this forward because I realized that I'm not the smartest person here. I sort of feel like I got blown off the last time. So if I'm going to put myself forward, in front of a literal god or goddess, maybe we should come up with a really good question, and Glint and Ember are both smarter than me. So, help a sister out, because I feel like an idiot and I don't like that.
I feel that way often. I understand. I mean, so maybe the best question is, if there's weaknesses that this inevitable end has, or maybe asking how it is that she does not die, or maybe what best way to kill her. Or,
well, I think we got the why she doesn't die.
True. We'll probably just get told it's from Loth, and
well, more specifically, if I remember the lore dump from the books in the library, it was a contract between Loth and some demonic force.
Was it Asmodeus? Was that right?
I didn't get a
Beverly backhands you across the face and says, "Do not speak the name of the devil." No, thank you. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Sorry, it triggered me a little bit.
Hey, all the gods are making fun of me, and I'm just trying to keep you all alive.
You're doing very
Bahamut's up there
well.
like, what the fuck?
Please do not beat me with hammers or fists.
Finch smite her. No,
But if we can burn, dismember, disassociate her
First of all,
reasonably.
who am I asking? How do we stop her? How do we stall her? Like, I have one question, so how it's worded is incredibly important.
Perhaps how do we stall her? Because she's the inevitable end. I imagine that stopping her would be a great deal of.
Stall her. Great.
Or more directly is, can she be physically harmed?
Yeah, but if the answer, how can she be physically harmed, right? Because she can
Exactly.
Okay, how can she be? How can she be stalled? How can she be stalled? Right, because we're trying to get her off our asses long enough so we can get to Vasselheim, yeah?
Hmm.
So is it not how that harmed, but how can she be stalled? We get the fuck out of here.
Perhaps how best could we fight her?
Best can we how best can we fight her in hopes of getting the crown to Vasselheim?
I wouldn't even put that piece in.
How best can we fight her?
Simple. Don't overcomplicate it. I get the impression gods really do not appreciate complicated.
Great. Anyone else? Any particular god I should be asking? Can Joyal be stopped, maybe? I don't know.
I mean, she can be, because
she was stopped.
her side did lose the war.
She was held. She was held for a period of time. That was part of it. She was held. There was a way to hold her. They glossed over it, but they said it. Like, she was held for a while.
Yes, they just didn't know how it was.
Which means that she can be hurt or injured or bound, something. Let's start with hurt, and we'll work our way down to bound.
All right. Looking at Ember, looking at Clint, looking at Nyx, Zar, looking at Finch. All right. Anybody want to add to that? How best can we fight / stall her? That it?
That seems fine.
Great. Who am I asking?
Oh, it's a selection? Like a menu?
Well, normally
to whom
ask Bahamut.
To whom do you have the best rapport?
Oh shit. Either the knowing mentor or the moon
Actually, no. We're asking about this particular undead bint. Ask the Raven Queen. Let's stop being stupid. Let's ask the person who absolutely detests the undead, of which this moistened drow assassin.
I've watched this before, though. No, we've had her attention before.
Go ask your boyfriend. Or your other boyfriend.
It's it. He did it. He did it. Where's the passive insight above 10?
Yeah. 11.
What am I?
11. When Ember says, ask your boyfriend to Yvaine, just catch out of the corner of your eye, Zarvolg's head turns just like a little bit. A little reaction from Zarvolg. Just got you. No, I'm kidding. I'll be fair, Zarvolg. Go ahead and roll a deception check to cover up your. See if you can cover your tracks.
I don't know that he's all that interested in covering it up, but I will. I'll roll it.
Whatever you want.
I rolled a 10, but he has a -1 on deception, so it's a 9.
So anyone with a passive insight of 9 might catch a little, exactly as Aaron did when was said. It goes like fully looks around the camp, maybe for a couple seconds. He goes, oh. Like, no, it wasn't about him.
Oh.
So take that under advisement.
Good for you.
And then you notice Yvaine blush horribly.
Right.
Got you. Secondine's up there going, got you.
I'm glad someone's enjoying this road trip.
Apparently the Moonweaver. All right, no, but that actually makes sense to speak to the Raven Queen about this.
Wait, one thing, because I wasn't paying attention in the library back at the temple. Do we know that this inevitable end is undead?
No.
Well, she becomes ethereal like a ghost. She's been alive and fought and apparently can't be killed.
So money.
That seems sort of inside the bounds of I hate you from the Raven Queen.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah, the Raven Queen definitely would not be a fan either way. If I was to put money, undead or perhaps a fiend, given the nature of who established the bargain and their servants. One or the other. Maybe, no, definitely not a fae. I don't know if she has a skeleton.
We absolutely know she's connected to the Demon Queen spiders. Like, we absolutely know that.
Mm-hmm.
Beverly will put forward something. She'll say, I don't know too much about religion outside of Bahamut, but I do know that the Archheart and the Spider Queen they were considered mortal enemies.
The Archheart does not like drag. Balthazar told me that.
Just if you want, I don't want to get in the way of anything. I just want.
Oh, that's helpful.
I haven't said anything in 3 days, so I thought I'd contribute. Earn my bonus as a paid actor.
Like me, since I'm. I'm trying to speak to Sahanin again.
All right, Yvaine, the time has come. Much discussion has been had. There's many gods and there's many questions, but there is always tomorrow.
I'm not great at talking to people, but I would say keep it clear and direct and concise. Use as few words as possible, very clear and to the point.
All right, I'm asking the knowing mentor again. I'm looking for information. I'm not looking for astrology.
All right, you connect to the power of the knowing mentor that is very sorry that it upset you yesterday.
I'm going for a better question.
You connect your power to the knowing mentor, a power that feels like that moment when you stepped through the door to the Cobalt Soul and saw that magnificent library for the first time. It is that moment where you're on the precipice of great learning, of great knowledge, that is at your fingertips, and you have but to pick the right book to learn what you wish to know. What would you ask the knowing mentor in her infinite library?
How can I best fight or stall the inevitable end?
Okay. Okay. All right. A moment, so I can make this sound cool for you. Um,
Four more days.
do the thing. There we go. Okay, let's see. As you sit here in the Vespin Timberlands and the cold around you is bitter, and also the energy of the Spider Queen's crown pulses with dark energy that you feel around you. But there is knowledge to cut through the danger. A massive spider web seems to stretch endlessly in your mind, glistening with frost. And at the center of the web is the ancient figure known as the Cadogeist. 8 limbs stretched upon the spider's web. And as a sort of a billow, a roar of like a battle cry sounds, and a crackle of thunder is heard. You see the Cadogeist ripped apart. Arm, leg, head, and portions of the body torn apart. You hear within your mind sort of cutting through the dark webbed visions of the Spider Queen's crown as a divine being, or at least a servant of that divine being, pushes through to grant you an omen. The Cadogeist, untouched by time, unchained by death, is forbidden from death, but not immune to it. To kill her is to pause her, a breath in the eternal hunt, a day of stillness, no more, before the shadow returns to the chase, and the inevitable end comes yet again. You cannot slay what has been forsaken by death. Beware, its patience is as endless as the void from which it crawled. And that is the information you've received.
Right. We can kill her. It buys us a day. She's forsaken by death. So there's no absolutely killing her. Nyx did something I noticed. Nyx held their action until the Cadogeist revealed themselves. So maybe the answer is we set up fate. And in the moment that they reveal themselves, everybody else dogpiles. Since they're going to the problem is they keep disappearing, right?
So Nick's actually had I've got an idea actually. So if Joriel is a name that works, Rolathan's psychic lens works as long as I know their name. I don't have to see them.
The distance range on a spell like that.
Let's see. 120 feet. That's a lot. That's a lot.
It is quite some distance. All right.
I'd point out as well that I haven't had a chance to tangle with this chick yet. If I can get a good eye on her, I think I can find her even if she disappears.
Whenever my skeletons rest their weary bones, had made attacks upon her, it seemed that she warded off non-magical weapons, not wholly, but was less affected by them as one might expect. I assume that would impact what weapon you'll plan to engage her with.
I think we're all good in that regard. Nix, how are you?
I'm good there.
Perfect. I'm not going to get, if I'm in melee with her, we've got our problems are so much worse than you realize.
She is extremely fast. I think ultimately she'll be engaging near anyone she wants to.
Whoever's holding the box is probably going to be the primary target.
Mm-hmm. What if we all started carrying around a brick?
I like that a lot. It's tricksy.
Yeah.
Well, suppose we'll see what we can cobble together then.
As you're all sitting, what day? We're on day 3. This is the eve of day 3, I believe. And you guys did your little fairy trick the day before. You hear a slight pattering of feet in the snow, coming ever so daintily and gently towards your camp from the dark. Walking evenly. No, no.
I was gonna ask. No alarm from the crossbow.
No alarm from the crossbow. The feet come
Sweet.
even and still, not in a way that is miraculously combative.
Right.
You see coming out from the dark, a feminine figure that is mostly nude. She has very dark brown skin. Her hair, it comes back long across her back. She is very slightly covered across her areas of modesty, very slightly covered, not leaving much for the imagination, but still covered by a beautiful, almost like stained glass or some kind of crystalline, almost like gemstones from the earth, how they have that natural crystalline beauty, sort of just across those areas of modesty, but again, not leaving much to the imagination. Big, beautiful blue eyes, like ice or crystal blue water, and long pointed ears. She has snow sort of all within her hair as if she just rolled in the snow, and it seems to just kind of stay there no matter how much she moves or shakes her long, beautiful black hair. And just has like little, very elegant portions of frost and ice across her nude form, mostly nude form. She sort of enters and speaks with a kind smile upon her cureless, spotless, elven-like face that has no blemish whatsoever. She says, in a language most of you don't understand, she says, Thamiar thigen brwn I hersras arahir athni tohom nix. Which Nix, I believe you alone will be able to translate as it is Sylvan. Okay, you understand it as well. She says, to you two only to understand, I've come to speak to the one known as Nix. She'll turn to look at you and smile. And you will all hear Nix and this beautiful woman sort of commune in a language that most of you do not understand, but it is a very elegant one. And she'll say, "It is good to see you, Nix. I have come on behalf of the lady. I'm told that you are in need of some aid in the forest. I received a message from her, from her, uh, from her little friends. How are you?"
Um, I've been better. I'm doing much better now that you're here, honestly. We've been hunted by the inevitable end.
Oh, like, I don't know much what that is, but it sounds very terrible. But I was told to come and provide a little bit of help. I'm told to help you put something away that shouldn't see the light of day. Is that right?
Yeah, this relic right here, this crown. Um, Terrible business, absolutely terrible business. It makes many of us sick here,
Well,
just at the
if
sight of it.
that's, I'm very sorry to hear that. Sounds like a terrible thing. Well, I come with a possible solution for you and your kin, or your, not your kin, of course, but your kith. If you're interested, I come on behalf of the nymphs of the Vespin Timberlands, uh, and we have a favor with your lady. She has provided us something in return for offering our aid to help you seal away this thing of evil. If you were inclined, would you wish to hear of our offer?
Please, please.
She will say, "We have some problems of our own, but you all seem quite capable and maybe can help all of us. We, well, we have our own problems in our own glade. You see, there is a horrible corruptions come, perhaps from this thing that you have brought, but I don't know quite correctly where it has all come from, but it needs to be done. There is this, there's this really terrible, uh, there's this really terrible creature of ice come from a land not unlike where me and you are originally from. We would wish it sent away or made peace with or destroyed even, don't mind. But if you were able to do that for us, we might be willing to help you with your little problem. Seal it away in a way that it might not ever be found ever again."
I I can't make these decisions unilaterally. I'm gonna have to ask the rest of the group what they think.
Well, by all means, feel free.
Yvaine
You can,
translated, which she can. Once that
if you started translating, she would have looked to you with offense.
would really? I thought she would have
Yes.
So I guess since we're not translating, I guess Nyx would and Yvaine maybe would break down the offer and the request and see what everyone thought as far as if they were willing to take on such a thing. Seems like a nice way out, though.
if she to be trusted and can deliver on what she's saying, and if she knows what she's doing, then yes, it is a nice way out.
If I might ask, who is this?
Yeah, exactly. Like someone's just come from out of nowhere and been very offended that I translated what they had to say, you know, and they're going to help us if we do this thing for them. And we're just going to assume that they can help us. Like, how do we know that they even have the ability to help us?
So she's come from a friend of mine, in a way. What we definitely they can't break promises. She can't break a promise. She's from my world. So if she promises to help us, we can trust that. She can't lie, but she could be withholding some information about what we're up against. We could definitely a bit more if you'd like.
Can I ask her questions without her being offended that I've asked her questions? And do I need to speak in Sylvan to do so?
I'm not sure actually.
I'm speaking to you because
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you may need to ask her.
Yeah. Yes, that's a good idea. So Nyx is going to Nyx is gonna talk to the lovely Fae person directly, and ask if they could maybe give a little bit more information on this creature and what exactly they're going to do for us if we accomplish this goal. Like how exactly they'll be able to help us if we can accomplish this goal.
Okay. She'll say, well, we of our glade have some powers of our own for sealing away terrible things that were never meant to be seen. We would call upon the... It is an ancient thing, you see. When trees grow alive, we have a tree, a ritual for bringing to life a tree of great protection. It's a dark power, a little bit, but it's also a good one. We would call it the Wraithroot tree. And these trees have been used since ancient times, since when even the elves were young, to hide things away that were dark and scary. And we would do so again, and they have served their purpose quite well. We would summon this tree, and we would bind within it for its own protection, and as I said, binding, use the word a lot, but seal the crown within inside the Wraithroot tree, and it would defend it with its very being, cutting it off from the rest of the world, hiding it deep within its dark and corrupted bark, never to let anyone pass within it to obtain it ever again. It is a power that has only been allowed and passed to us by the grace of, well, your lady, frankly. It is a thing that can only be invoked by either ancient or very dark entities. But, well, your lady is one of either, apparently. And she'd, and with the Wraithroot tree binding itself and protecting this item, it should be safe with it.
Can Nyx do a perception check to see if they're getting a good bit of the story, to see if they're getting a lot of the story, honestly.
You can make me an insight check, yes. To see if this if there's any deceptions at play or what else you might obtain.
God damn it. Nick's got a 6.
A 6. Um, you are very sure that this entity is being honest and truthful. That your lady is apparently one of either ancient or dark power, and that this ritual should have, if she's to be believed, and your lady to be believed, has the power to seal away this evil.
Yvaine looks at Nixon and calm and says, "Who is your lady?"
Uh, uh, Sibilna.
Wow, that name means absolutely nothing to me. Shit.
What was the name?
Sibilna.
Does that mean anything out of character?
That means nothing to you.
Okay. Huh. I've never heard of them in my life.
She goes by Tasha as well.
Oh.
You trust her? You trust her?
I serve her.
You believe she
I would
can do-
say yes.
All right. Nix believes that her lady is capable of doing this thing. How do we feel about it?
The way I see it, is that ultimately our plans seem to involve passing the crown on to followers of a higher power of one kind or another. Personally, to me, it makes little difference if it's to Bahamut or Cord or Tal'dorei or some other force, as long as we're relatively certain that they do not intend to make use of it, and that we believe that they can prevent its corruption.
We all realize that the killer guy is going to try to kill us anyway, yeah?
Most likely.
All right. So long as we have that straight.
So if Nyx trusts this lady, it's a lady Iguilva Tosha.
That name was never said. Just to really.
Okay, just to make sure.
We only know that. We've never had.
None of you have ever heard of this before. This is an individual known as Zabilna to you, and only Zabilna.
Yeah, like I've never heard of it, but do you genuinely believe that they have that capability? Oh, they're frozen.
Well, I guess we can do what we want now.
Yeah.
Take the crown and run.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's
My
okay. You're
internet
good.
cut
You're
out,
good.
and I'm
You're good.
so.
You're all good. You're all good. You're all good.
So I didn't hear the last bit.
You're
Glint was the last one I heard talking.
Yeah. TLDR, do you trust this woman, this higher power, this lady of yours, to genuinely have the capability of binding such an artifact? And more importantly, or equally importantly, do you trust her not to make use of it?
I do trust her, but I mean her ways are above my understanding, so I can't make any promises in that way, but
I'm not asking an oath from you, I'm asking where your trust lies. I'm not asking a guarantee, simply where your heart is on the issue.
I do trust her. I do.
All right.
That's good enough for me.
Mhm.
Sooner we're free of this particular burden, the better off I think we'll all be.
Yeah, I'm sort of the same mind. I mean, you all are hell bent on giving this away to someone. We're never going to know for sure that the someone we give it away to is the right person, although we might know the wrong person. So if Nyx trusts him, this seems as good a person as any.
Mm-hmm.
She is incredibly powerful, and I think I really feel that she's the only one who can help us this deep in the woods. I mean, we're so far away from where you'd like to go.
I will back. I'm happy to back Nyx on this.
All right.
Nobody outwardly disagrees, then I suppose you can ask your friend what we're doing.
Well, and that brings to mind the immediate question. This sounds like it's a fairly significant boon.
So what's
And
the cost?
what's the cost?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this isn't coming for free.
Well, no, we're fighting a creature and as a favor to them in return for this locking away of a box.
What kind of creature?
An ice creature.
Talking an elemental, a dragon, another fae.
They weren't terribly specific.
No.
Okay. Why, if
Then
I'm incredibly powerful and I can deal with this shard of loth, why is this ice thing a problem?
So these people aren't my lady exactly. And unfortunately, nothing comes without a price. So in order to get
Fair
something,
enough.
we must get something.
Well, I
it's
can
possible.
certainly understand that.
It's possible they're also bound by some prior agreement not to deal with it directly, in which case we might be being used as something of a contractual loophole.
Again, that's fine by me. Ice
Mhm.
melts. I have some
True.
rage issues that need to be dealt with, so that's fine.
She's still here, yes.
Yep, she's like looking at all of you, kind of squinty eyed. She likes Nyx, but the rest of you, she doesn't seem to be
Hello.
terribly fond of.
What? Could you ask her what precisely this creature is?
Yes,
Are we allowed to ask?
And more importantly, where?
Very good questions. So Nyx is going to address the lovely lady directly and say, my companions are willing but hesitant without a bit more information. They're hopeful that you can tell us with a little more specificity what we would be going up against and where we would be going up against said creature.
She will turn and she will point up the mountain nearby, and she will say, it's a terrible thing. It brings avalanches and such down upon our grove. It rages in a monstrous way. It is large, and it is not something that we've ever confronted. We're not a people of violence. We don't often get into fights and such. So it need be dealt with. But we've never encountered it firsthand, only seen glimpses of its large and monstrous form.
How large?
Like, she looks around at the various trees, and she's going to point to one very large, about 15-foot tall tree. Is about, if I had to guess, I'd say about that tall. It's a big one.
She pointed at the mountain. She doesn't want us to fight the mountain, does she?
No, thank God, it's a creature 15 foot or so tall. We've fought things bigger than that. That dragon, that terrible, annoying dragon, is bigger than that, I think. And we make him run quite a bit, so it does sound a little bit more reasonable. They haven't seen it directly. They've seen glimpses of it. They're not violent, so they're not people that fight battles, which is why they would need our help. Which, I mean, that's reasonable. They might have the magic to seal things away, but not to fight. I certainly am at a disadvantage. Yes, Sarvolk.
Why is no one in this part of the continent violent? I'm so sick of the non-violence here. Can we please go south?
Hey, right. Yeah, they haven't seen it. Have they seen tracks? Does it seem to be nocturnal? I mean, do they have any?
Do they know if it walks on 2 legs, 4 legs, 6, 8?
Oh, it's like a general. Oh, it's 15 feet tall, and we're terrified of it.
Is it a thin 15 feet? Is it
the
long?
latter so far?
She looks at you and Nick as everyone's kind of like making broad, almost mocking gestures at you, Nix, with things they're saying, and we'll look at you go, is there some problem with your people, Lady Nix? They seem to be very distraught by the aid we've brought them. Yeah, I know it's very cold, so you seem quite frozen. Oh, man.
Poor Cassie.
Yeah.
It's a 15-foot tall cold miser.
Yeah. Everybody's sitting.
Hey,
oh, Lord. I'm so sorry. So I heard she looked at me.
Yeah, so she's looking at your friends who are making these like broad, almost mocking gestures, and she kind of folds her arms and looks at you next, kind of like juts out her hip, folds her arms, and a little attitude, and looks at you next and goes, Is there something wrong with your friends? They seem rather agitated by the aid we've brought to them.
I didn't hear any of that because my internet sucks, and I'm going to give up now.
It's all good. She basically said, is there something wrong with your friends? They seem really agitated.
Oh, so Nix is gonna say, can you blame them? A lady who cannot die, has been forsaken by death, has been chasing us and almost killed us, crashed a ship with us, and we're all a little bit on edge and stressed out right now. I promise it's not personal.
Make a persuasion check to see if you will waylay her offense.
25.
25. She sort of like sighs and says, oh, very well. I guess that's a fine enough reason to be upset, I suppose. What is it they're saying? What is it they want to know? If it has, I know you had an internet thing, so it's fine. She'll say, we've heard some people say he has 6 legs, and then it's rather long, like a snake, or perhaps a looks over. She's oh, never mind. You can't hear. Sorry, that was off the table. Blah, blah, blah. Says some say it has many teeth, like large icicles, and some say it has 6 arms and is long like a snake or a worm, but it is very cold. It has the power of ice within it, and it's, some say it's like a long crystal of ice, and others say it's sleek like a leopard. But none's really got an eye on it. Like I said, it rages around at the very top of the mountain and makes all the ice and snow and stone come down on our grove, and it's really a terrible mess to clean up.
Do they know if it has bones?
The dwarf over there would like to know if it has bones. I don't know if you'd know that.
I never liked dwarves. They always ask the strangest questions. I I suppose, well, I don't know, really. I haven't really opened one up and looked inside. Do you have bones? Can you be sure, Nix, that you have bones?
I can't be
No.
sure of anything right now.
The case box.
Well, that's a I think a wiser approach than most would insinuate from that. Okay.
Is there anything else we'd like to ask her? I understand it's going out on a limb, but we really don't have a lot of options right now, guys.
Oh, I'm down. I'm willing to give this a shot and engage in some discovery.
Yvaine looks at Zarval and says, "What do you think?" And
But
she doesn't
yeah, I mean-
undercommon, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I meant what I said earlier. If we're going to give it away to somebody, I don't know how we're going to reliably tell one person from the next. So if the faster we can get rid of this thing, if that's what we're determined to do, the better. As far as fighting a giant ice monster goes, we're probably going to end up doing that at some point anyway. So we might as well get that over with.
Yvaine will look at Nix and be like, "Yeah, all right, sure, I'm with you."
As a side note, if you're around Finch, I think you might get like around the end here a little tug on the gambeson or whatever, Beverly. And she'll say, "Are you? I don't. Are you sure this is a good idea? I don't. Faye could be very tricky."
You're right. And I agree. I feel like I have quite a bit of apprehension here, to be honest. We've invested quite a bit of time traveling this far, and I feel like we've been given at least another warning or two throughout the duration of this journey about being mindful about the deception of the Spider Queen.
We were. We're real Bahamut people, but I feel like Bahamut told us to go to Vasselheim.
I agree. And I think I'm gonna try and like discreetly like group up the party without like being offensive.
Yeah, well, maybe you wait. Maybe we'll say that like you have this little side combo with Beverly while everybody else is talking to Nix and the nymph, and the nymph will sort of very daintily sort of curtsy in your direction, Nix, and we'll sort of like say, "I'll find you when the great creature is dead, then, or sent away, or convinced to stop, or one of them." And will find her way away and sort of disappear as quickly as she came into the forest. And then, yes, Finch, if you wish.
Yeah. So I've been hearing what everyone is saying. But in consulting with Beverly, both they and I have quite a bit of apprehension about moving forward with this plan. We've been warned several times about the oversight of the Spider Queen and what she may and may not be capable when it comes to deception. And I feel like we've been given pretty strict instructions to carry this to Vasselheim. And I feel like it would be foolish of us to let it go now.
Yeah, and she was kind of shitty to like everyone other than you, even to my translating, which is weird. Like, why would you not want to communicate with a group, right? Like, if you want their help, why would you not want them to know that you want their help?
Mhm.
Like, I wasn't putting words in her mouth. I was just trying to get the gist to everyone to speed up communication. So,
And we have fought very hard and come this far. I think it's what is right is to continue to carry this on ourselves.
Only to be the devil's advocate. I don't think that we were ever given instructions to take this to Vasselheim. I think we selected the location. We have told everybody along the path that was our plan, and people went, yeah, I suppose that's a good idea.
And was right. It's true. We were told to get it to safety. We were told to get it out of.
Get it out of play.
We were told to take
effectively.
And our plan's been validated when we were in the monastery by the headmaster.
How long until you can ask a god a question again?
You can do one tonight if you wanted, Yvaine. You did one yesterday.
Do one today.
Oh.
The thing is, if you like keep asking the same thing over again, like
I understand.
You're asking complete things, then.
No, I understand.
The gods are new to me. Look, my job is to protect the rock we're standing on. The gods are supposed to help me in doing that, and I'm just.
Well, I know. I'm just asking.
As a counter argument, I'm posting a picture of the nymph in the in the Facebook chat. So
whoa! I'd say we give it to the nymph. Give it to the nymph. Give it to her.
I'm just saying.
Send the crown and fuck off.
I mean, she's a bad bitch. Wouldn't you be offended by everything too?
Not if I needed help. No. If I was asking for help, I wouldn't be bitchy about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
but Glenn, you were wanting to ask God.
Yes.
Which god were you thinking of asking, and
Thank you.
what?
Why not just ask Bahamut?
Yeah, I can do that.
If Bahamut's chill with it, then no problem, right?
Bahamut's chill with it.
Bahamut is chill about nothing.
I have no chill.
Bahamut takes everything very seriously.
Bahamut always gives 110%.
Bahamut instead of Finch, who's like Bahamut's actual,
Well, I don't think Finch quite has the magical mojo.
Bahamut only ever goes beyond plus ultra. Sorry, I'm done. Sorry, guys.
Bahamut strives or exceeds expectations on the annual review.
Bahamut has been an honor roll student for 9,000 years.
Bahamut is prime deity of the month 3 years running.
Bahamut has perfect attendance. Never had a sick day.
Summon draconic spirit.
That's so funny.
I'm just saying, if Bahamut is against the notion of us having it bound by these Fae, then easy answer. And if Bahamut's fine with it, then easy answer. Mm-hmm. And that's not exactly a wishy-washy cryptic riddle question. It's just asking their preferences.
And I'm seriously. I would like to make a check. I don't know if it's an Arcana check or an insight check, Mr. DM.
For what?
I would like to know if I can use Dream to find Bahamut instead of.
No, you can't cast Dream and enter the dreams of a god and commune with a god.
I don't think they sleep that way.
Look, it was worth asking.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Yvaine didn't know.
Yeah. Be pretty cool.
You can't use what, a level 5 spell to have a loophole for a personal communion with a god. No, I don't.
As opposed to a level 4 spell that allows you to ask.
Oh, sorry. You can't. Well, it allows you to ask one question. That doesn't allow you to have a 8-hour-long conversation that they basically can't get out of.
Are we sure that Finch can't get this from a prayer?
No, it's not how prayers work.
Are we absolutely certain that I have to go ask Bahamut this? Because I'm feeling weird about talking to gods here.
If you want the religious perspective, Finch can think about the commandments of Bahamut, the way of Bahamut, and what Bahamut holds true, the morals of this lawful good entity of protection, and perhaps pray for
Right.
clarity and decide
Guidance
for
and clarity, right?
yeah, and decide for themselves what they think Bahamut would care about and what Bahamut's answer would be. That's part of what faith is doing what you think is best.
Mhm.
So, but magic does allow you to be a little more direct about it if you're not willing to take it on faith.
Fine.
And we could ask a very direct question. Does he trust what she's saying is the right course of action?
And in fairness, Finch is a paladin who is about smiting the enemies of Bahamut, not about understanding in a deep wisdom kind of way like clerics are. That would be the purview of clerics.
I'm not a cleric. I'm just a druid. I'm just to protect this rock we're standing on from extra planar threats.
I just wanted to be a ranger.
I just wanted to and I failed at all of it. All right. Yeah. So am I talking to Bahamut? Is that what I'm doing? She looks right at Finch. Are you okay with this?
By all means.
So I trust Nyx, but also I don't want to impose on
What
your
am I
faith,
asking?
Finch.
What is the question I am asking? Smart people, help me out.
I mean, hey, Big Dragon, hey, Big D, can you tell us if this is okay?
Oh, Big D, what up?
Do you author? Do you condone this? Do you approve of this?
Is it okay to sequester the crown with these
the Fae
ice face lady?
It's okay to sequester the crown with the Fae Zabilna?
Is that what the name was?
That's what that is the name.
Zabilna.
Yes,
No.
yes, it is.
Yes.
All right.
And the only name that she has.
The only name I heard, I don't know anything about this name, it's just Zabilna. So name of your lady, I suppose
Yes.
your queen or some such. I don't know anything about this person. It's fine.
There's that works. There's, I guess, would you rather we bind the crown in Vasselheim or deliver it to the Fae? Whatever works for you. I don't really know how gods talk. Not really my
All right,
thing.
Yvaine. All right, let's do it. All right, Yvaine. 25 gold pieces of sacrificial stuff.
Yep. 25 more pieces of residuum. Jesus, this has been very expensive.
And you bring forth, you feel like you're on the monastery again. High in the sky is the realm of Bahamut. You feel your spirit lifted as you come forth the inscrutable, lawful, good God of protection and justice in the multiverse. What would you ask of great Bahamut?
Okay, so the first thing she does is bow very, very deeply, with deepest respect, and says, Divine Bahamut, is it all right for us to sequester the crown with this Zabilna, or would you? And she literally just stopped.
Okay. So sorry, what's the question that you said?
Is it okay to sequester the crown with the Zabilna? And then she just puts her hands over her mouth and puts her eyes on the floor.
as you put your eyes on the floor, a vision comes to you. You see a beautiful, shimmering forest of beautiful, vibrant colors, and you see strange, alluring creatures, not unlike the nymph you just saw, but more warm, more summery, that are barely clad in natures and fairies and other creatures. And deep within the forest, there is an alluring creature, majestic and fey, cloaked and glamored with illusions. But Bahamut's thunderous voice cuts through the vision. Beware the allure of Archfey, for their words are wrapped in promises as capricious as the red dragon. The light of the platinum dragon reveals the truth hidden beneath their veil. They serve only their own will, and not the will of justice. The beautiful forest suddenly is engulfed in shadow, and it all twists around the Fae's charming appearance. It cracks and shatters like glass, revealing a figure laughing with cold, calculating eyes. The only peaceful, serene comes from beyond the chaotic forest and the trickery and deception, beyond the mist of the Fae figure. Trust in those who stand firm in the light, those whose hearts beat with the rhythm of justice and honor. Know that the Fae dance on the edges of chaos, and in their world, honor is but a fleeting notion. Entrust not the burdens of darkness to those who walk the path of caprice, lest they twist it to their own ends. As the vision fades, he says, hold fast to truth, and let your allies be those who stand unyielding against the tides of deception. And with that, the omen fades. The nature of Archfey have been revealed to you, and Bahamut trusts in justice more than he trusts in the self-serving Archfey.
Oh yeah. Yvaine says all of that and says, to be honest with you, I don't think he's loving the idea of trusting the Archfey.
And that is where we'll end our session for the night. You have a decision to make. You have information on both sides. A trusted ally of Nyx has come with an offer of